How many, if the U.S. got in a real deal boots on the ground war with multiple countries, like how many do you think we could win it? Like, I'm going to list countries and you tell me when this aggregate amount of countries.
So let me go first because I think the United States can beat the entire planet by themselves.
No, that's not true.
There's a whole YouTube video about it.
Oh, well, never mind.
Yeah, go to
some retard on YouTube with like fucking bullshit graphics was like, how the US can win against the whole world. Step 1, be an idiot on YouTube. Like, step 1, be a fucking mouth breathing retard online that uses fucking
battlegrounds. God, someone used us as a source in an argument that they won.
No, it's that like, Binkoff's Battlegrounds channel. That's all
says
they do.
Here, Michelle Obama's the hottest first wife.
Hi, welcome to US is the best military on earth channel. And here's 10 reasons why we're the best and we could beat China, Russia, England, France, Germany, South Africa, Nigeria.
Counting a lot of countries that don't matter because they can't come over.
Every
here
country on earth would butt fuck us, dude. Like, dude, that's laughable. That
you should watch the video.
Well, wait. Are we defensive or offensive?
If we're playing against the whole world, we're going to be on the defensive.
Okay, so how do they get us?
China, land invasion. Russia has
land invasion.
The United Kingdom has an air force.
Let's start at your first country. China land invasion. So they're going to pile in boats and cross the Pacific Ocean. At no point will the most powerful navy ever will ignore.
Thank God the most powerful navy won't have other things on its plate like Saudi Arabia and Russia and India.
What would Saudi Arabia do? How would the Saudis get here, Taylor?
India, China.
They have no way to get here.
Yes, they do.
No, they don't. We are the people who are able to land in another country with an entire army full of tanks and everything that supports them and all those battle groups. No one else does that or can.
Dude, a global war, we straight up don't have goods. We have no manufacturing. We will not win. Like, that's insane to think the U.S. can win.
We can beat the rest of the country.
We want to shift to a wartime economy.
But here's the thing that's true. We have 11 aircraft carriers, and the rest of the planet combined has what, 3?
Yeah, but they're not as good as ours.
And they're not as good as ours.
And the Russian one and the Chinese one don't count.
That's true.
I think the Russian one's broken or gone.
It's broken. And the Chinese one is a Russian one, and it has a ramp on the end.
Now, do you think that China might make a lot more if they started a war with the U.S.?
They're going to be manufacturing things while they fight us.
Yes, why would we allow a huge amount of manufacturing happening during war?
When the Cold War kind of petered out, they took all those nuclear submarines, the ones that were carrying ICBMs, and they converted half of them to missile submarines. So each of them carries 140 Tomahawk cruise missiles. They're scattered across the planet in the water. Nobody knows where. Lately, we've been doing this thing where we surface just to freak people out. Why? How would they have any manufacturing? How are they going to be producing new arms? And I keep going back to this. They have to get here. They have to get here.
I mean, as far as manufacturing, they have more manufacturing capability than
I think Kyle's saying we'll quickly reverse that. We have submarines off the coast of China, and we'll take out their whatever
their infrastructure, their electricity grid.
Manufacturing.
But now we're I don't know. But
we invented the internet. I bet we're capable of some pretty good technological.
We don't make most of the shit we need.
We make we've shifted to making most of our electronics.
You think that we get total embargoed from every other country and we are able to fight? No, our economy gets destroyed. Our ability to import goods, precious metals, services from other places. That we need to be able to make these electronics. Where are we getting these precious metals now? South Africa, we're at war with them. Russia, we're at war with them. India, we're at war with them. Nigeria, we're at war. We wouldn't have the raw capacity for it. Canada's at war with us. That everyone's at war with us.
Come on! Oh no! Now we're fucked.
No, I
was just saying that. I was saying more. Even Canada. The Mounties are gonna take Maine when we're distracted.
To me, you just keep coming back to this situation where their missiles won't work. They can't get here because there's no way we allow boats full of people to cross the Pacific Ocean. Hawaii's in the middle. The entire Pacific Fleet's there.
That's true. Hawaii's never been attacked.
There isn't if you took all the navies of the world, ours still wins, like way easy. They don't get to use the water. We take the water right away. The water's ours.
Manufacturing in wartime works is not you start a war with a net amount of stuff.
It's not World War II, Taylor. We don't need to make new planes. We're not going to be losing that many. We're here defensively. They're coming to us.
We're not gonna win a war against the world defensively. Like, you have to conquer the world. That's what you.
No, we have to make them. We have to make them surrender.
I feel like lots of people would,
like all our wars.
That's how Afghanistan and Iraq.
I guess it comes down to, like, I was in my question. I was meaning, like, if we're taking on the world as the U.S., a win is not the U.S. maintaining itself. The win would be defeating the world.
We would defeat them. They would surrender.
That's not China anymore. That's the 78th state.
I think the United States would defeat the entire world and they would surrender.
Do we own their land afterwards, or do they just say, never mind?
I mean, there'd be a negotiated peace, right? They'd have to make us financially right, and there'd be some trade agreements agreed upon. Whatever we allow.
Oh, shit. So you're not going for just they decide attacking was a bad idea.
Oh, it was a very bad idea.
Well, okay, I guess, but stopping there. Like, one way to win the war would be for them to be like, you know what? We're done attacking. This sucked. We have so much deaths. Our economy's terrible. Let's just go back to where we were before. That'd be a win.
Yeah, I don't think we would.
But not in this scenario.
Go with that.
I'm meaning, like
you want a more.
This is like at the end of it. China is the United States, and I don't think there's any way the U.S. is strong enough to conquer the world. There's just no way.
Well, the conquering thing, of course, I don't see our army sweeping the globe like a video game and just being over everyone, making a one world government under the American flag. I don't think anybody can do that. What I'm saying is, if the world all declared war on us and they had to come here and make us surrender, they couldn't. Maybe with nuclear weapons, we could all die together. But if we take nuclear weapons off the table. But if you
that's a draw, actually. Yeah, that would be a draw.
But if you take nuclear weapons off the table, I just don't think the entire world can get here. You're like, the Saudis. Oh, yeah, those guys.
Economically, they can destroy us.
So we go to a wartime economy and establish martial law when it's us versus the planet. There's no more economy or anything like that. The federal government.
Well, there is. Everything. You need goods. You need like funds moving around. You need to be
all
like
federalized. Everything would be federalized.
And as soon as we go to war with the world, the dollar is destroyed because
Why would we care what the dollar does? The dollar would be very stable because it's traded in one place, right here in the homeland.
No,
all those dollars out there
and Venezuela and all these countries took oil
because most of them exist outside this country, wouldn't be in play anymore. I'm telling you, it's a different scenario if you're talking about the United States being defensive against the whole world. The economy is not going to matter. There isn't an economy. It's martial law. We're working to live. We're fighting for our lives.
No, but there is an economy. It's about being able to import sufficient goods to keep the everyday maintenance of complex systems moving. And when that fails, you have infrastructure problems in the homeland. Like, it would not take that long for the U.S. if we're waging war across the world to be fucked.
We're not waging war across the world again. We're fighting this defensive war where they're dropping like flies as our border getting swatted like a bug zapper.
Even so, like we
what do we need to make? Like, what do we need? Semiconductors,
guns, bullets, fucking food.
All right. Now you've lost. Now we're gonna run out of guns and bullets.
We're gonna run out of materials because we don't
number one importer
everything
of those things.
Here.
What do we need? Like, specifically, not oil. We're one of the biggest.
The chips that are currently made in Taiwan.
We need the chips that are made in Taiwan. We need the metals to make the chips that are not mined in the U.S. We need huge amounts of goods.
We need lithium for our electric cars.
We need the lithium. We need that lithium. The Sudan mine or whatever.
I'm just not buying it, and I don't see a scenario in which we couldn't go get the things we wanted by force if we wanted to. That's what that'd be
fun. You see a shipment of lithium and you just make it come here.
Yeah, you
just take it. Meanwhile, the rest of the world where you're not invading at the time, their economy's fine.
We're not invading
able
anywhere.
To produce and manufacture.
No, they're not. I think you're underestimating how scary the United States military is and the power that we would have economically if we disappeared from the planet and the dollar disappeared from the planet. And I don't know what we could do as far as the cyber attacks, but you would imagine that we're pretty crucial to the world internet system. And I think we win. I don't think they can get us. I don't think they can get here.
I think defensively we win. Yeah.
I'm not afraid of the Canadians. There's not enough.
There's something about. I watched a YouTube video again, Taylor.
Everybody gives back.
But I think even Taylor would agree with it. It talked about how hard the U.S. is to invade, and part of it, in fairness, was that Canada and Mexico are allies.
Mhm.
But then another part of it was like, man, the way that the Mississippi River splits it makes it hard to cross. It makes it easy for us to transport goods and materials up and down, like as a waterway. Apparently, the Rocky Mountains and the coast. It just we have
the interstate highway system is built for this purpose. It is
geographically
built for the
we
purpose.
present a bigger problem than many countries get. Like Russia, for example, one of the reasons they're doing this whole Ukraine thing is they're very easy to invade from the West,
Mhm.
and they feel
about to get
vulnerable
worse.
from that side. Yeah, they feel vulnerable from that side. Whereas America, assuming Mexico and Canada are our friends, very hard to invade.
You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like there are some countries that just are difficult to invade. Like Iran is a good example. They're entirely surrounded by mountains. I was reading the US did like a war game, like prediction of what a boots on the ground war would look like in Iran. And they stopped the war game prediction after like 2 days because of how many losses America would have. They're like, oh, this is not doable. No, we cannot have a land war in fucking Iran.
Yeah,
because
Did you
Iran
see
is
the papers? Did Trump wave them around, or Iran attack planes?
Yeah. To be
This is
fair,
like
he had
20 years
added
ago.
some Sharpie to it, and he had made the Americans much taller.
Dude, a lot of people think like Iran is like Iraq or like what Iraq is now. It's like, no, Iran's much more real deal a country than modern Iraq.
Yeah, I don't really know. I see both sides of it. I see like, they're much more like westernized than you think, and they've got a great economy and they're educated and all that stuff. And then you see like it's Sharia law, how do you pronounce Sharia law, and a religious government, and they're kind of backwards and they hate women. And I'm like, I don't know what the truth is.
I don't think they hate women over there in Iran.
I think it's like a little bit of, I think both. I think
They're
there's
a
a little
bit of misogyny going on there.
yeah. Saudi Arabia,
Are they a burqa country?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
They're definitely a hijab
Saudi
country.
Arabia has
They've
a
been-
lot of issues with I think women just
And
got
no
the
Saudi
right to
Arabia burqa
thrive.
company.
Yeah.
Not
Burqa
burqa
country.
either. And they're not. You're thinking of hijab, not burqa. Burqa's the full outfit where you like can't even see out.
Yeah.
No, I think that's Saudi Arabia.
We've been having
That's
huge-
Afghanistan.
Have you
Saudi
been paying
Arabia is
attention
fine
to-
with the hijab,
Oh,
where you
okay.
just have the head covering.
I've been watching Philip DeFranco's videos on it, but on the Saudi-U.S. relations are very poor right now. We're apparently warming up to the Venezuelans, and I see that the Saudis are cutting the oil production again. Right? They're not happy with the Western countries using their strategic reserves to manipulate the price, and also we're making a lot of oil, I'm sure, despite what Biden has done. And they're cutting production again by, I don't know, another 1 billion barrels or something like that.
Are they still threatening to sell it on the ruble and the Chinese fucking dollar, whatever, the yuan?
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised. I know we've threatened them a lot. With their military, because most of their planes are our planes. So if we cut off that part supply, part of the whole thing, reason this whole Ukraine thing is interesting is because it's like Android and Apple, right? That's how the arms are in the world right now,
like this
more
analogy.
or less. There's France and Korea, but
Apple.
it's Android and Apple. And the United States
there's
is Apple.
Windows phones that come from France, but who gives a fuck? They're not a real player.
Fuck that. That's not compatible with either of them.
Linux.
So the Western guys, the United States, we make these Apple phones. The Russians, they've got this fucking Androids. And if you're Saudi Arabia or India or Pakistan, you have to pick. Because
Can I
you
add
want
to
all your
this?
shit to work together. Yeah.
And the US stuff tends to be really technologically advanced, but maybe fragile by comparison. Takes a little more expertise
Training.
to maintain them.
Yeah.
And the Russian stuff tends to be just sort of simple, strong, and durable and tough. And if you were to ask me 3 years ago which one's better, I'd shrug. But now they've been tested.
Russian stuff's like the flip phone, man.
Yeah.
I had a flip phone that just I said I would upgrade when it broke. I didn't upgrade that fucking phone until like 2013. And it never broke is the fucking thing. Like it died one time and came back to life, actually.
Sorry, Kyle. I think I threw you off your groove.
No, you're perfect. But like
Yeah.
one of the things, one of the ways that the United States exerts its powers on countries is, hey, when you like a bunch of F-16s, that could be your Air Force. Our shit is good. You've seen them in action. You're like, yeah, Yeah, we can afford 200 million of them. Then a few years pass, and
here's both.
A few years pass, and they do something we don't like. Oh, did you stop that oil vessel? Are you cutting down on your production of oil? Are you supporting this religious group that secretly funds Hamas? No more carburetors for you. No more carburetors for those F-16. Or F-16s don't have carburetors, but
I'm working with it.
No more F-16 carburetors for you. And they're like, whoa. These things go through a carburetor every fucking week. What are you talking about? We won't have an Air Force. I'm sure you can get some new carburetors somewhere. No, you're the only people who make carburetors for F-16s. I'll let that vessel go. Stop funding Hamas.
Our military does like the HP Inc. strategy, where it's like, oh, I'm sorry. Does your tank not work, dummy? Because now
there's another part. Now we know which one's better. Now we know these Russian things. They're getting butt fucked by Ukraine. Like that, dude. That's not supposed to happen. When your tanks are so bad that they're losing to Ukraine, against our tanks or our javelins or whatever. That's a bad look. Now, if I'm India, I don't want to buy the Russian stuff. It's been tested. It's not the good stuff.
Yeah,
I saw a lot of.
It seems like American weapons manufacturers round down. I love that.
Yeah.
What's the range on your missile? Call it 50 miles. It's 180.
Yeah. We saw that with the Russians had these supersonic missiles, and we had the Patriot system. And the Russians are like, it goes like Mach 5, and it goes like Mach 1. And we're like, the Patriot, yeah, we could probably never take out one of those, but it can. And then it gets tested, and we start shooting down these supersonic missiles. And the Russian scientist, did he get executed, or what the fuck happened to that guy?
There were 2 or 3 of them that they snatched up, and right after there was a night where half a dozen of those hypersonic missiles got shot down, and then immediately 2 or 3 Russian scientists who were on that program got locked up. They said they were getting locked up because they had sold secrets to China, but that might have. My guess, and this is just me, my Tom Clancy brain is, they were like, what the fuck? Dimitri said the missiles worked right. Look into him. And they found out that, you've been talking to Chang over there, huh? Well, you were on my list anyway. And now he's gone. Was
that I think you mentioned this before, where that was the story where like the scientists were lying about the capabilities of it, of like, oh, this can do this fast, it can take out this in the air, and then they test it and it can't do any of that shit.
Presumably,
we round down.
Putin is the guy who was out there. He's been doing it for like years now, maybe 10 years when they first came out with that missile, and he's like, in a word, it is the perfect weapon. It cannot be intercepted.
Perfect. It is as good a weapon as I am at ice hockey. Have you not seen clip? I dangle red past Alex Ovechkin. Alex Ovechkin, best player in the world. He says, I can't guard Putin. Like that would be. Is there a clip of that? I would love to see a clip of like Alex Ovechkin like pretending like, what do I do? Oh fuck! I tried. Dude, we lost to this. we straight up lost to these hopscotching, leapfrog playing.
Big fan of the memes of the 15-year-old, 16-year-old like Zoomer boys with like the I don't know if you've seen them, but there's one of like Bill Clinton or George Bush sitting there with the Secret Service in his ear, and it's like, sir, it's 100% not busing. These planes flew into the building, no cap on God.
For real.
Yeah, he's like, oh no.
That is good. Those are funny. Those 9/11. Because I mean, the kids making those memes now, the Zoomers, they weren't alive for 9/11 probably.
That's why it's so. Now we finally made it to the point where 9/11 can be publicly funny outside of like,
Isn't it what didn't South Park say 21 years? Hasn't it been?
Yeah, 21 years. You're right. It has been 21 years.
So,
it's like 1.5 generations, right? So now like the people that were like alive and going through the thick of that and stuff, like us, like I'm just like, I don't know, man.
Well, there's the people like Woody who were like
funny.
consummate adults at the time, and then there were people like me and Tucker, and to a lesser extent Kyle, where I was just like, well, not Kyle understood what was going on. I was just like, we're getting out of school early. Bad. Yeah. Hell yes. Like Pokemon all afternoon, baby. Pretending to be an Urkai in the woods with my friends.
When I think of 9/11 now, I don't just think about when I think of 9/11 now, I don't just think about, the buildings and that day. I think of everything that happened because of it. I think
TSA.
Fuck the TSA. I think about I think about the Patriot Act. I think about the massive loss of freedoms that we'll never get back again. And that reactionary moment we had with George Bush Dick Cheney leading us into the future. And the $1 trillion that we threw away in the Middle East to kill 1 million Iraqis who had nothing to do with it. We went to Afghanistan, obviously, to get Osama bin Laden, but the whole thing was Saudi Arabian money and Saudi Arabian actors and maybe a Yemeni or two. But
Afghanistan just supplied the jungle gym they trained nearby.
Yeah,
the tires they put their feet in as they got in shape.
They 7 tires and a pull-up bar and fucking 20 years of occupation. We should have never let them do dips here.
I remember. Do you remember? And for those of you who don't get that reference, we were fed this same news footage over and over
again
of guys wearing black get-ups, with AKs on their backs on monkey bars in the desert. And I remember thinking, even as a kid, well, wait a goddamn minute, let's not overreact. They're on monkey bars in the desert.
Yeah. Why are we using cruise missiles when angle grinders will do?
I remember as a kid seeing those videos, and I had no conception of what was up. I was in my young teens, but I remember watching and being like, damn, those guys are preparing. They get on the jungle gyms with all their guns, and then they run through those tires, and then I guess they do the jungle gym again. There's only 2 things. There's only 2 things here. These guys have a tremendous amount of spryness and upper body strength at the very least.
I mean, you just watch you'd see the background footage with the military vest and a couple beat up white Toyotas zooming around in the background, and people 8 people in the back, and I was like, yeah, that looks like a lot of personnel. And then they'd immediately cut to the shock and all night vision clips of a barrage of rockets flattening a city block, and you're like, I just seems a little disproportionate, but I'm 7. What do I know?
Oh yeah, and they're like, we gotta lock in on 8 terrorists.
Yeah,
they're playing Foursquare. Just blow them up.
I watched it. There's a great video. It's on YouTube, all over the internet, I'm sure. And it's an Apache gunship or something. They're watching.
Oh, dude, we lost to this. we straight up lost to these hopscotching, leapfrog playing.
If we had made war more fun, it would have been better, but we made it too serious. That was the problem. We lost the fun of war.
We won every battle. We just lost the war.
Yeah.
The end of a Call of Duty search and destroy. We may have lost the battle, but not the war.
Yeah.
You know what war nobody talks about that's a great one? The Chadian-Libyan Great Toyota War.
I've never heard of this.
1987.
I'd love to be educated.
It is a war that was fought primarily in the truck bed of Toyota trucks. And what they did, if I remember correctly, was they had littered the area with landmines, but because you could floor the Toyota, you could go over the landmines before they were trigger and detonate. That's how they infiltrated.
They need to put that in a commercial.
Yeah. The
infiltration.
Libya lost 1/10 of its army, 7,500 men, and $1 billion of military equipment. But yeah, the Great Toyota War.
Chad. It's looking like Chad. Well, it looks like France was offering some help to Chad there. So I guarantee the French help with Chad. I don't imagine Chad had a big military. I imagine France showed up with some then Libya had to be like, oh no, that's a trained military. And they also have Toyotas. Look at that guy. He's got a new Pathfinder or whatever the fuck it's called. Yeah.
That's why I named it the Pathfinder.
Camrys, everybody run.
Yeah, everyone's in a war Corolla, like it's Mad Max coming out of the optional sunroof with a spear. That'd be great. Yeah, that's a huge L. Only 1,000 people killed from the France/Chad alliance.
Truly,
Libya,
Chad.
Shit pushed in. And if you want to know someone who knows about getting his shit pushed in, it's Muammar Gaddafi, because of how he
streak
died.
of L's.
Or
no, was he the guy that was?
He was the guy who got shoved, torn apart, and shit shoved in him, right? And then his head was on a stake.
I think that was it.
Yeah. They sodomized Gaddafi with a pole or something. Well, the people who didn't like him. No, it was
alive was he?
no, it was Libya. You remember?
I'm pretty sure. And, we bombed them. This was a whole thing, and then Gaddafi got overthrown, and they raided him. They sodomized him, and then they like tore him apart and like put his head on a stake.
Gaddafi was another guy who was a previously rational actor until something in the wind changed and he became a madman.
So what? So
to Woody's
how does this keep happening?
I always lean on that. Like this guy is an ally, like Saddam Hussein. That is a madman.
Well, do you remember what happened? Like he was a madman forever. Like first of all, that whole like posse of ladies he's got watching his back. He's raping all those women.
Muammar Gaddafi.
Like
I think he ended slavery in Libya, didn't he?
Massive rapist, just huge rapist. That's probably why they sodomized him. And he was a problem for years, supporting terrorism across the globe. And then 9/11 happened, and someone must have called him or something, because he immediately was like, hey, I'm not with them. I've got some shit y'all need to come look at. I don't know who left it here, but it's scary. Y'all should come take all that. Them, bombs and missiles. I don't know where. I don't know. He gave up his shit. Like he like immediately showed George Bush's asshole and like gave up. And then once he was disarmed and didn't have any bargaining chips, aka chemical or nuclear weapons or anything like that, then we probably bombed him and let some rebels come in and sodomize him. As we
let some rebels come in with new
hey
Yukons.
They're driving Chevy.
It was
who sent them?
Who sent them? Did you see that? This was like a year or two ago now, but it was like showing like Afghanistan like troops with new trucks or something, like the Taliban, or maybe it was Al Qaeda. I don't remember. ISIS. It was ISIS actually, and it was showing like new trucks that ISIS somehow procured, and one of them said like Steve Mason's #1 tile repair company, and it had like a Michigan phone number, and it was like a viral tweet where this guy's like, I don't know how, but we turned in our truck and now it's delivering ISIS members across the Middle East. Rest assured, Steve Mason's painting company does not stand alongside ISIS. I don't know why they wouldn't remove the decal, frankly. But it was an old Toyota with the Michigan number on it.
Oh,
something got Mark 1 plumbing.
and I loved it. They've got the fucking technical on the back, fucking laying it down.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
It's so funny.
What is a technical? Is that a category?
It's whenever they put a piece of shit like this on the back of a pickup truck and it looks like the guy who operates it's not going to live very long. It's that. I don't know what kind of gun that is. It looks
it falls under the classification of technical, like many guns would.
That whole thing we're looking at is a technical in my opinion.
Does that include the truck?
Yeah. This is a fighting vehicle now. This is transcended. They're cool enough to blur the gunner's face. I think that's like a 20 millimeter gun or something, or maybe like the Russian equivalent. That's a big it's a cannon.
Yeah. You don't want to get hit with it.
That'd be really cool to shoot.
Have you shot something very close to that?
Yeah, I shot a bolt action rifle that shoots 20 millimeter rounds. I think 50 caliber is like 13.7 millimeter. So like that's your comparison from 50 caliber up to 20 millimeter.
What is that, anti-tank gun? Like, what do you use? A PTRS? What do you use it for?
It's the round that like fighter jets shoot. Like it's what our fighter jets have shot for a long time. Is like their gun. So like it's an anti-aircraft weapon to some extent. But the one I was shooting had been chambered into like a bolt action rifle with a silencer on it.
That's what I meant. I was like, why are they making that?
Why not? It's one of those. If you got a rich guy who's got $1 million CNC and he's like, and he owns a firearm company, and he's like, what's the biggest dick like thing I can make? And so Mark Serbu made. I think he's also the one who made that gun that blew up on the guy on YouTube. If you saw that rifle blow up on the Kentucky ballistics guy. I think that was a Mark Serbu rifle.
I don't know what the solution is.
There's two options. Was that there's one country. But this is like
it's like an eons old ethnic conflict, and it's like, hey, guy from Missouri, what do you think? And it's I think we got enough problems in America. I want nothing to do with them. I care as much about Israel as I care about Ukraine or Palestine or Russia. Like they are not relevant to me in my tons. Not at all.
But you have
Russia's hugely relevant to me, data. Other than watching Ovechkin chase that goal record, I don't give a fuck about Russia.
Would you? But would you? You don't want any involvement with any country. You have bases
really.
all over the world.
Yeah, I don't think that's ideal. I think that spreads us very thin, and that we have a lot of issues that need handling on the home front.
How does it
involving
spread
us in another war?
They're aircraft bases, right? Like we don't fight wars with like bunches of troops. You know,
we have tons of bases all over the world.
Yeah, I think they were talking about.
You ever see that picture of Iran and how many bases we have completely surrounding those motherfuckers?
Then we're like, why do they dislike us? It's like, yeah,
because we keep them under our thumb where they fucking belong, Taylor. I'm tired of these Gen Z Americans who don't realize that we're the winners. You didn't live through the 90s. This is what we fucking do. They taught us two things in school: World War II and America's a winner. All right, that's what we do. We kill people, we blow shit up, and we sell our weapons to other people. That's what we do here. If this was Hunger Games, we'd be the state that makes all the bombs. That's what we're about. We're good at it. We're the best at it. We're better at it than anyone in the universe has ever been, as far as we know.
For now, this isn't going to last.
Here's a question about this Palestinian thing. Do you think if they stop bombing now, all those the 1.9 million people who are left are going to be like, whew, glad the Jews left us alone. Let's forgive and forget, guys? Forgive and forget, right? No. Everyone they kill is another one they won't have to kill in 10 years. That's
where American military bases are.
Oh, God, it's beautiful.
I don't even know what some of those islands
We need more
are.
in Russia and China.
Yeah, I know. They're just like floating in the middle, like that one under India. What's even there, and why do you need to be there?
Okay, let's get real here. We can save a lot of money pulling stuff out of South America. Who cares what's going on down there? Central America, same thing. Who cares? Southeast Asia? What are we doing in the Philippines?
Central
and Indonesia?
America?
I don't care. Africa?
Southeast Asia.
Central
What are we doing
America?
in Africa? Who cares about Africa?
You need that Central America, though.
No. Well, what are we doing?
You're gonna have like a Canada to the south. You're gonna have people like from other countries.
Damn, do we not have? I don't think we have any in Mexico. Doesn't look like we have any Mexican bases. Maybe like Guatemala down there.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so.
Well, I was going to say that the thing is like,
you got too many.
If we were talking about one thing and then it went to something else, like, you know, Canada sends money to Ukraine and to Gaza for aid, and you know, the money gets sent out and the houses are so expensive here. There's a million problems to solve at home, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it's obviously just very important to your country to be everywhere. That's just something that the U.S. has done from the beginning. It's from the beginning. I mean, you know, post World War II.
Yeah.
It's just
we've been running shit.
I don't think that's ideal. I think you overextend and you start spending money in ways that isn't beneficial to the people at home, and the people at home start to feel like, hey, this government isn't even representing me. What the hell? I don't have healthcare. I don't have this and that.
We traded healthcare for a military. What's that policy called? So that we get.
You did it though. You have the money. You have the money for both, by the way. It's not one or the other.
Your thought is.
Oh, it was that policy about being able to fight. You know, two wars essentially on opposite sides of the globe.
I haven't heard it. I don't know. There's a name for it, huh?
Since World War II.
War on two fronts.
Not just two fronts, but you know, being able to fight a war in Europe and Asia, for example, like we did in World War II.
Well, I don't think there's a big war is going to break out in like Asia, right?
Yeah,
that's exactly where the big war is coming.
Yeah, there's a huge.
That's where the main war is coming.
USA and China, like, are the fact that they had discussions recently were pretty chill discussions, kind of low key, and even Biden calling him a dictator and saying it's a dictatorship is kind of low key chill. Rolling out the red carpet for him, and having the streets cleaned up because he's coming to visit was so crazy and bizarre, because the streets have always been crazy and bizarre. And what's crazy and bizarre is also so many people like, and it's not a whataboutism thing. Like Israel, I'm not backing the politics of Israel, but in terms of Muslims and genocide, the Uyghur numbers in China, they're taking people from their families in the middle of the night and they're putting them in prisons.
They're Uyghurs.
Re-educations, you know? Right? Uyghur. We could be Uyghur, yeah. But
I prefer it my way.
The Uyghur Muslims.
Yeah, no, it's for real. And I'm like,
they're all wearing Gene Code jeans.
There's like it's just J-Rock from Trailer Park.
There's crazy stuff going on there, and no one is protesting that. It's just there's like such a crazy attachment to this Israel-Palestine thing, there's a crazy attachment. Because what's crazy about it is, like, for example, Taylor, like, you don't care. But even though you don't care, it comes up like crazy because they report on this shit a million times more than they do on every other war.
And they ask
like
about
everything else going on right now.
24/7.
There's a couple of genocides going on right now. And this one is focused on the most. There's something about it that's extremely compelling and clickable. Maybe it's the color of the people's skins. Maybe it's the location. Maybe it's the Jews. But there's a lot to it that is, for some reason, way more. But I mean, if you don't care, really, ultimately, it's just another war, dude. It's just another one. It's not particularly extra crazy. It's just fucked up humans being fucked up people and doing fucked up shit. And that's
there's always going to be people futzing around doing horrific atrocities all over the world. Like, and we can't stop all of it.
You and I have very different versions of futzing around.
These no good nicks are getting involved.
There's always going to be people futzing
jar.
around. I picture them like looking at their feet, walking through Central Park.
they're kicking rocks with their hands in their pockets. That's what they're doing, futzing around, not bombing the shit out of
tree
people
in the park. Just really wasting time.
And when we're eventually supposed to support a war against China for fucking Taiwan or something,
they're ready to go.
I don't
there
care
with
about Taiwan either.
Let's
take care of our stuff now. Let's take care of stuff in America. How
what would
about
your top priority be, Taylor?
For America?
What would your top priority be here in America?
For all the unemployed infantrymen that you're wanting to fire.
It would be healthcare, securing our borders, like taking care of American veterans, like actual money going to Americans.
No, but you could do that. You have that money. It's not like a this or that. Like, you could do all those things.
We should do those things, but I
agree with you.
We can't overextend ourselves with forever wars all across the globe, because that doesn't benefit Americans. It costs us money, and then we have to fund them.
Well, the benefit is that your government isn't going to choose to send you to war because you have other countries fighting your wars for you.
That's how winners get things done.
Like, you don't have to go sign up to go fight something because you're sending guns and ammunition and all that to that country to defend itself.
The Army missed their recruitment numbers by a significant margin. They have been for a while. They went.
Why would you want to join the fucking military at this point?
Not only that, there's a really extra ugly aspect.
Oh, but wait, that's free anyway, I guess. So woohoo!
It's because unemployment is so low.
No. Also,
Army recruiting is easier when unemployment isn't record low.
And what they did was the Army, what's it called when you let them go when they're just discharged people that didn't want to get vaccines. And those people have gotten letters from the U.S. Army now being like, hey, sorry. So it turns out that was like some weird mumbo jumbo, whatever, new president and whatever. We want you to join the Army. So you're back in the Army if you want it. No pressure. We're sorry about the vaccine thing. So they're doing that because the recruitment was so low. And that's the type of stuff where, once again, like, I said I love the USA. I love Canada. I don't like when people disrespect it. But once again, they're fucking liars too. Like, what a clown show to discharge people.
Trump
it's all like, and I agree
with you for mandating vaccines, but Biden let them back in. I wouldn't have believed you, but here we are.
This whole thing.
Did they kick him out while Trump was still doing his thing?
I know, because a friend of mine was in that position. He was leaving anyway, but that's why.
I'm not disputing it. I buy it.
Yeah.
No,
Trump was the one out there who's like, you got to get the vaccine. It's the best vaccine. Warp speed, people. The absolute best vaccine never brought to market.
That was such a
kickback.
That might be Trump's greatest accomplishment. Like he probably saved tens of thousands of Americans.
No, his greatest accomplishment was humiliating all of those fucking goobers on the stage in the debates in 2015. That
as a president,
will always be his golden moments for me.
But I don't think the first vaccine was from Project Warp Speed. I think that was second and third or something.
Wasn't really? Well, that's upsetting.
Wait,
how could that be? How did they beat Project Warp Speed?
Yeah.
Let me fact check myself.
The lying Democrats are coming to you with Operation Super.
You want to take it away from me? Want to take it away?
Yeah, that's trying to take away my credit for the Warp Speed vaccine.
If he comes out and he doesn't misremember things. He doesn't call St. Louis fucking Atlanta or some shit during, when he's on the big stage, because nobody's covering him. That's the thing about his little flubs right now. Camera's really on him. He has his Fox News will go on there. I don't know where I watch it. I think I watch his rallies on YouTube. I'll tune in for 10 minutes, kind of take the temperature of his mental capacity to make sure, because look, he's my guy. He's that funny, witty guy who makes fun of people and bullies people.
Mhm.
I can't have him slipping.
Like you're talking about Trump?
Yeah, we need him all
on
there for bullying Nikki Haley, that dummy.
He was on the
ugly
he took the
bitch.
stand. He took the stand today, and he had apparently had a piece of paper in his coat pocket, and he kept pulling it out and playing with it. And the judge was like, "Stop doing that." And then he pulled it out, and he was like, "It's paper. I would like to read this." And the judge was like, "No, it's not the time for that right now." And because he's Trump and he doesn't take no for a fucking answer, fucking get the sale done. He was like, "No, I think it would be it would be good for me, and none of this would be important, and I would be cleared of everything if I were just allowed to read this paper." And he was
Why wasn't he allowed to read it?
Because there's proper order of things done in court, I guess.
No,
and
that's
also
gay.
the judge can run his court however he wants. I
don't like that rule. I think judges, you can't make them little mini kings. They gotta have some rules. Put them back in wigs so people know to bully them. Knock them down a peg. Knock all the judges down a peg. Even the Supreme Court. Those fucking bitches sitting up there in their ivory towers writing opinions every once in a while,
banging their fucking silly hammer. It's a hammer, buddy. I don't care what you call it. It's a hammer.
Yeah. It was 3 a.m. my time in Missouri, and I got a call from him, and I'm like, "What the?" I literally know he's one of my best friends. I'm like, I know he's in Afghanistan right now, and I answer the phone, and I'm like, "Hello?" And he's like, kind of scratched, Taylor. And I'm like, "What?" You're, and he's like, "Yeah, dude, I just got in my first firefight. I was shooting. I saw bullets coming at me, whizzing past me, running around, gunfire. It was the most wild thing I've ever experienced. And I realized I absolutely can't call my mom. I absolutely can't call my dad and tell them about this. And the only person, friend of mine's phone number I had memorized was yours. And I just got to talk to someone about this, man. It was wild." And I'm like,
Awesome.
I'm glad you're okay, man. When are you coming home? Do you have any other dreams or aspirations of a job you would love to do? If you had your opportunity?
Something I was going to do
Accountant.
right before COVID hit. I was actually going to join the army. I know the army, the pay is all.
Everyone's dream job.
Tax-free. Don't forget, you don't have to pay.
I hope you make it.
You don't have
The
to.
reason why I want to do something like that, though, is for the brotherhood and for the skill set of learning how to shoot a gun properly and how to, just fight. And let alone travel a little bit. That sounds like fun. Travel while fighting people.
Yeah, that is
The French Foreign Legion is way more your style, though. The French
I know.
Foreign
So
Legion
I've been
is where you
thinking
wanna
about
go.
them lately too.
You've been thinking about joining the French Foreign Legion. That's fantastic.
Yeah, I could see. you doing
I think
that.
they're pretty intense. They're known for being intense.
Taylor, I'm with you. I'm like, the army is a very survivable job, especially right now. We're not involved in any major conflicts. In the next 4 years, we probably will be because it's America.
Well, exactly. That's why you join now, so you
Can't
can be
fucking
high on the
wait.
ranks when it happens.
Watch.
Because they're going to
Join
try to recruit everyone, unless
So you're gonna get in early, so you're out of the grunt zone by the time it happens.
No,
Why
you wanna
the
be
army?
not outside the grunt zone, but I have more experience at that point. So
Yeah.
that's
He wants to be on the ground fighting.
Why the
Oh, yeah.
army though instead of Marines or something like that?
So I might say the thing with the Marines, I probably could do them, but I just don't know if I want to do that.
What's
And
your ideal army role? Is it paratrooper, tank, something else, a maintenance job of some sort?
I feel like either paratrooper or just a straight up soldier, like the infantry.
Right.
But at the same time,
They would
I
love
might-
to hear that.
I might
you go to
join-
recruiter and start talking like this, he's going to be patting you on the back, buddy.
Yeah, he's gonna get that job. Yeah,
And you're going to drive a truck for the next 4 years.
I feel like another good one would be is the National Guard. And the reason why I say that, they actually do get a lot more training than every other branch because they have a lot more free time training on guns. So if you want to get really good at shooting guns, the National Guard is the way to go because they have a lot more free time. They always win the competitions they get in.
Really? Is National Guard like is that a full-time job or is that like I've never known that.
So that
some people there are full-time jobs.
That depends on what you want it to be. There's some contracts you could do where it's like a part-time job, you do X amount a month, or you could do all the assignments that the Army goes to.
And there's reserves, right? There's like a couple. You can be in the reserves and you do that like, I don't think you do anything. I think you show up every few months and like do some basic shit to like kind of check in and yes, sir, ready to report if shit hits the fan kind of thing. But
essentially,
man, right now, the thing to do, if I was 25, I would probably fucking do it. I'd be in Ukraine doing something silly, either either operating a drone or maybe something scarier. I don't know.
Yo, somebody did you guys see that video of that Russian dude who got shot and then a bomb dropped on him? He just rolled over on his back. And you like look into his shoulder. There's just a giant gaping hole.
Ooh, I actually know the one you're talking about.
I know
the exact one he's talking about with the giant gaping hole in the back of his right shoulder when he rolls over. Yeah. They hit him with something big. Yeah.
Yeah, that dude's insane.
Was that the grenade?
How did his body not blow up? First off.
That's just not how explosives work. You know, it's got to be a big baboom to blow him into smithereens. You know, they're just dropping those grenades right on top of them and blowing chunks out of them.
Is a grenade strong enough that like if it was like surgically like saw style implanted in someone's stomach and then it blew up from in there, it wouldn't like would their body be total, like would they be in half or would it would just explode out and they'd just be like all shredded up probably?
So I'll say this because that's like a made up hypothetical I don't know much about.
Yeah.
But lots of guys have thrown themselves on top of grenades and survived in World War II. It happened a lot. They would throw their chest and their belly on top of it and get severe shrapnel wounds or their ass. I think Grandpa Simpson did that. I think he did that. But so I think, but if there was a grenade surgically put inside of somebody's body, I think it'd blow a big hole out of them but I don't think it'd blow them to smithereens at all. Because when
those
you see grenades go off,
there's no way that those were fully functional grenades. There had to be something wrong with them. Like they didn't blow up all the way or they didn't shoot all the shrapnel or something. There's no way you can jump on top of a grenade that works 100% perfectly and survive.
What if you put your helmet on it?
Just like
that's what Grandpa Simpson did.
Is it not? Yeah, Captain America did it,
on it.
I think. I'm not sure.
Captain America stole that from Abe Simpson.
No, Captain America like went into fetal position around the grenade. No, there's multiple cases in World War II, I know for sure, of guys throwing themselves on top of grenades and surviving it, and then plenty of people dying, you know, as well.
I wonder
what's the safest job if you're like an elite soldier? I always thought like
driving a fucking truck.
But like the sniper actually seems unbelievably dangerous because you're all by yourself out there or like with one other dude, right?
I think there's some positions on big Navy ships where people tend to survive a lot, especially now.
Yeah, if you're on a
our
big
Navy's
ship,
superiority is so lopsided.
Kyle,
did you disagree? You rolled your eyes.
If you do well,
no, I was just thinking of like first of all, in our military, the survivability rate is insane. Half of our military deaths are always contractors. If you go back to Iraq and Afghanistan, they'll be like, oh, we lost 7,000 people. That's not that bad. And 7,500 more mercenaries that we were paying too, that they don't talk about. But it seems like if you're just a grunt in the army driving a truck, your odds are pretty fucking good. So if you put yourself, now you're, I don't know, Seaman First Class McGovern's who turns a wrench on some Navy ship, or you just sit behind a computer somewhere on the Navy ship and monitor the fucking cooling system or something, you know, it's one of those ubiquitous jobs. I think there's 5,000 men on an aircraft carrier.
Well, shit like that, like, yeah. But I mean, like, of combat people.
Yeah, I'm
like,
glad you said that, Taylor. Zach has some lists on the side. Like, there's admin, financial management, HR. Right? That's my brother-in-law was in the Air Force. I mentioned him briefly. His job was to look at pictures that satellites took carefully and circle things that he thought other people would be interested in. Like, hey, look, this truck moved a little bit. Pass that up the chain and see what they make of it. that is a high survivability job.
Yeah.
You know, he's not getting hurt at all. He works in air conditioning.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you circle the wrong truck and they kill you. I doubt it. Like, it's not going to happen. But like, if you're out there in the mix, like the grunts have to die, or like the grunt equivalent of the SEALs or the Marines or whatever, the front man who's like really fighting, bursting in the like. There's no way that like even a sniper, like that's got to be way safer than that guy. Is there anything more dangerous than the guy going in first?
Kicking down a door seems extremely dangerous.
The first guy through the door.
Shout out my buddy. That's what he did in Afghanistan. Tough as shit.
Did he hit the door or was he first through it? Because those are different guys.
He was first through with a shotgun.
Yeah, see, that's the worst. That's got to be the worst. There's no way that that's not the highest mortality part.
It was the most exciting thing he's ever done.
I bet.
You know what's tough? I'm sorry, Kyle. Did you want to go
talk to that guy?
Yeah. Dude, is he ruined for normal life now? Like I am a little bit. I have made good money not working very hard. Am I still capable of working like I used to? I'm not even sure. This guy has to readjust to life where a fucking, I don't know, roller coaster at Six Flags is supposed to be considered exciting. It's not exciting to this guy.
Oh, there's no way it's exciting for like there. I think I've told this on the show.
Door 100 times.
Yeah, many years ago I said this on the show. Like, so he dipped out of college because he got nervous that Afghanistan was going to be done before college, and so he he left because he wanted to go fight in Afghanistan, and he got there and everything, and it was maybe I was a junior in college. This is like 2011 or whatever, and he called me. It was like 3 a.m. my time in Missouri. And I got a call from him and I'm like, what the fuck? I literally know he's one of my best friends. I'm like, I know he's in Afghanistan right now. And I answer the phone and I'm like, hello? And he's like, kind of scratches like, Taylor? And I'm like, what? Like you're, and he's like, yeah, dude, I just got in my first firefight. I was shooting. I saw bullets coming at me, whizzing past me, running around, gunfire. It was the most wild thing I've ever experienced. And I realized I absolutely can't call my mom. I absolutely can't call my dad and tell them about this. And the only person, like friend of mine's phone number I had memorized was yours. And I just got to talk to someone about this, man. It was fucking wild. And I'm like,
awesome.
I'm glad you're okay, man. Like, when are you coming home? like
never.
Because he's like leaning into it, like it was insane. Like the rush, like I couldn't stop moving around afterward. And I'm like, so you like saw bullets coming at you? And he's like, yes. And I'm like, but not close. And he's like, no, close. I was like, oh my God, dude. Like, and like to him, he was so amped up. The adrenaline was pumping. But to me, I was just like, fuck, I don't want one of my best friends to die in Afghanistan because he's so amped up. But
are you
and now like
that?
he'll talk about like how crazy it was, all the experiences. But then like when I see him with like another Marine, you know, the camaraderie they just instantly have as Marines, like they start sharing stuff. And then you like see the excitement come back out of like, oh, do you remember this and that? Were you this kind of guy? And something I have seen that's funny is he's a like frontline fighting combat Marine. And every so often, like I'll see him talk to another Marine who will be like a higher rank than him and be like, oh, I was at West Point and this and that. But because that guy didn't go through like the level of shit, there's almost like a deference respect of like, ooh, like that you went through a different level.
I have a friend who served in the Army, and I don't think he was quite as like kick down doors as your friend was, but he was in combat and stuff, and I don't want to say changed him, but like it's helped him put a different perspective on life's stress. So he's in a job interview, and the person interviewing him, right, he's the candidate, was nervous as heck. And I loved his line. He's like, I can tell you're nervous. Don't worry. I haven't killed anyone in like 20 years. And it's like, holy shit. Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. You can tell the people that have. Oh, what's that?
I was gonna say, does your friend have any cool tattoos? Like, does he have like knock knock Marine Corps like on his bicep or something insane?
No,
nothing like that. But he has a ton of tattoos. Nice. A ton of tattoos. I'm like pressuring him because he's got one giant full sleeve, and he's like, I want another full sleeve, and I'm like, no. like if you're gonna, I have no tattoos, so I'm biased, but it's like, no, like if you're gonna have a full sleeve, you need that point of comparison with your regular arm, you know? Otherwise you get that like Joe Rogan, just like dirty, like middle school desk scribbles look.
Taylor's friend, if you're watching, get a tattoo. The PKA pill logo is popular with the girls.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. He was so funny getting his tattoos early. He was just like, he'd come up with something he thought was funny and just get it. He got a chest piece, like a giant chest piece that just has like a wolf in a tuxedo holding 2 guns pointing out, and it says relentless. And he's like, it's hilarious. Like it's just he's got a bunch of funny tattoos.
That's an awful tattoo.
Shout out him.
Yeah, shout out Taylor's friend.
Tell him that.
That's great. So he had a shotgun. I like that's why I would like to talk to him, because I've never talked to anybody who used one in combat. I remember seeing some videos of guys talking about using them in combat indoors and how you could fire the buckshot along walls and ceilings. You know, you spray into the wall or the ceiling at a very sharp angle or a flat angle so that it sort of rides that flat surface and goes under doors, along walls, because people will be peeking just outside of a doorway, and you can make all that buckshot skim along the wall if you shoot it just right. If it's
that's so crazy.
I didn't know that.
Shotguns are fucking nasty.
Such a cool weapon, a shotgun.
Yeah, if he did what he did, then he has blown holes through people's heads as big as your fucking fist. You know, that thing was up close. A shotgun with buckshot is just insanity mode.
Oh, it just deletes people, apparently.
It does. It does.
Yeah.
Fuck.
So if you were to be a warrior, John, you're going out there, what is it? Almost a fantasy that you think it would be fun to be in the war, or are you serious, like you would actually want to fight?
I want that skill. I want that combat skill. Like that's why I started Muay Thai and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, because I want to know how to fight properly. So if I were to join like any type of military branch, the main purpose is to have the combat skills.
Okay.
But I feel like everyone's going to need to know that skill here soon with the way the world is heading.
Is it the more the gun skill you're looking for, or like
everything?
Fighting. Okay.
Yeah, combat tactics, gun marksmanship, like the whole.
Because I don't like thinking like I don't want to rain on your parade. I mean, it sounds like you like the idea of joining the armed forces, but you could learn those skills without signing away years of your life to the armed forces, because there's a chance that they'll just send you through basic training. You'll shoot like, I don't know, 300 bullets, and then they'll make you drive a truck for 4 years. But you could hire somebody to teach you how to shoot.
But as long as you read the contract and you get them, if you tell them exactly what you want in the contract and you won't sign it, and you got basic training already and you won't sign the contract, they're going to fix the contract for you.
You sound like you know more about it than I do. I just see people on Reddit sometimes who are like, signed up to do this, and it's like, I don't know, Call of Duty. Well, now I'm doing this.
So a lot of times they tell you, quote unquote, you have a job, but if it says something else in the contract, well, that's the contract. You fucked now. You signed it.
I've been on some of those subreddits too, like ones that active duty army people are in. And there's some of them give advice to people entering the army. And it seems like a good place to spend your time if you're about to do that. They'll tell you what to say to the recruiter and what to make sure is in the contract. Because just read the contract. That is advice that was given to Call of Duty YouTubers in 2013. Reading contracts is hard. And sometimes they're intentionally written in a way that's difficult to understand.
Oh, yeah.
I've been through a lot of school. I still struggle to read contracts. I would hire someone to help me read it.
I don't trust myself to read any contracts that matter, like with any amount of money or any amount of me being given away, like literal, you know, I don't trust myself to understand what that. Maybe if it was like a couple sentences, but then it's like, shit, what is this not covering now? There should be more here.
Right? Yeah.
If it was just like, you get this, I get that, I'd be like, man, we probably should have covered some what ifs in here.
Yeah. The more they add, the harder it is to read. The less they add, the more you're at risk. You need a lawyer.
That's the racket. You know, like you gotta pay them their little percentage to make sure that you don't fuck up. Because, you know, like you said with those YouTube contracts back in the day, there's a lot of that. Most contracts are predatory in nature. The first one you'll get.
Well, for example, right after I got off the TV show, I did a photo shoot with someone, and they were trying to convince me to sign this contract. And they threatened to sue me if I didn't sign the contract. And the contract was basically saying if I sold anything under my name, they would get 25% of it. And that would have lasted for 7 months. But there was a loophole, I guess. It could have lasted indefinitely. So this guy, if I would have signed it, would have owned 25 or something percentage of everything I sell under my name.
Right. Remember the grand finale of Fish Tank when Sam Hyde read the contract and told the people that there was no guarantee they were getting paid at all?
Yeah,
that's true.
Contracts can be like that. Now he was not predatory, so he paid people. But if he was, everyone there signed the contract, including you. You know?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So anyway,
but the nice thing about having autism or any disability, if you sign a contract, you can get out of it because you weren't in your right mind, quote unquote. Just like how all those chicks, when they get married and they sign that contract and they want to take none of this money away, I was depressed. That contract doesn't count anymore.
I doubt that's true.
No. Those contracts get thrown out all the time because, quote unquote, maybe she drank that day, or maybe she has anxiety, or any type of.
Are you telling me prenups are thrown out all the time because maybe she drank or was depressed?
Yeah. There's a lot of cases where
all the same. Read your contracts and get a lawyer.
So like me personally, I wouldn't even want to get married legally with the government just because of that alone.
I bet there's a good like website or service that does that a lawyer reads your contract for a quick flat fee and like gives you a quick one over. Like that should be a thing, right? Like I don't.
That is a thing, yeah.
Yeah, I don't need your services. I don't need your whole firm getting in order. I don't need an appointment to your office that I have to drive to. Can we get a video call?
If you want a lawyer to read your contract for free, all you gotta do is tell him you got this case for him that he could make a lot of money, and he will read it for you and tell you what you should do, and then he's going to expect you to sign up, and then you just don't sign up.
Yeah, I don't want to make any enemies in the legal world, but I would like an app where I could just legitimately like pay him whatever, $100 even for a 20-minute conversation that was filled with knowledge and wisdom.
But you could just do that in person at that point.
Yeah, but I don't want to avoid that. I want to avoid the in person. I don't want to go see you. I want to click my phone 3 buttons and go, hey, lawyer man, I've got this PDF just got sent to you. Would you look that over and we have a call in 2 hours? Absolutely. See you soon, Kyle. Was there ever any like survival type training that you did? Like I gotta imagine, especially because like all right, so when Americans think of Australia, we think of a gigantic desert, and obviously there's the coast. It seems like to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like most people live around the coast, and that then there's that huge part of Australia that it's like, yeah, we don't go there.
So pretty much everything that's not on the east coast or the south, like pretty much. There's like, imagine a U. So the west coast, south coast, and east coast are all fairly populated. West, not so much. And there's one major city up the top in the middle. And there's one city in the dead center. And then everything outside of those is just uninhabitable almost.
There's a city in the middle?
Yeah, it's called Alice Springs. There's not much there.
Yeah, what do you think?
There's a casino, and that's about it. I've never been there, but I just know there's a casino from a book I read. That's about it. On the eastern side, like that's where all like the stuff you guys would know, like Sydney and Melbourne and all that.
So did you ever do any like survival type training out there in the outback?
In Australia. So in Australia, like you do like all your first aid stuff, and they focus a lot more on snakes and stuff like that. Because like I didn't step on, but I nearly stepped on probably about 5 snakes during navigational exercises and they were like nasty ones too. My mate honestly saved my life probably 3 times. I just didn't look down that much, But when we went to Thailand with one of the exercises, we had like the Thai special forces do a survival thing, and that was loose. He had like snake's blood for us to drink. He had like just the most random shit. And what are the ones with the 2 dots on the back of their head? Is that king cobras?
I have no idea. We don't have those here.
I think they're king cobras. He had like us in a circle, and it wasn't a big circle. And he just chucks one in the middle of us, and he's got a stick. He's just flicking it back to the middle every time it started moving towards the edge. and it was just like it was loose. He was like playing with all these snakes and that, and he pissed in a bag and drank the piss, and it was just like this is loose.
Was this Bear Grylls?
Yeah, it's like the Thai Bear Grylls.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and
the population of Alice Springs is 25,000. That's a town at best.
Yeah,
it's smaller than a lot of
like
suburbs. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then in Malaysia there was a survival thing that I didn't do that one, but it went for about 3 or 4 days, and they build huts, and I think they get like a rabbit and they skin a rabbit and eat the rabbit, random stuff like that.
Skin a rabbit and eat the rabbit. Did you see any Thai guys do that thing where they stick their head in a crocodile's mouth and like dare it to bite down?
No, none of that shit.
Oh, that's disappointing.
So like, I always explain the army as something like this. It's like 65% is sitting around bored out of your brains. There's about 30-ish% of like back breaking, shoulder breaking, knee breaking agony of like walking around or lifting heavy shit. And there's like 1 to 5% of like the most coolest shit you'll ever do. So you break that down into days. There's like maybe 2 weeks of the year actually do anything cool. And then the rest of the year you're either just sitting around or breaking your back.
The cool stuff. Like I got to imagine that's when you get to play with like different weapon systems, right?
I've shot pretty much
maybe.
everything the Australian Army has for a normal soldier, not special forces or anything. Just some of the places you go, sometimes you're in the moment, you don't really think about it, and then you stop and you're like, holy shit, it's cool. Like some of the stuff on top of mountains and that. I'm big on mountains, so for me, going somewhere really scenic is always nice. I don't know. There's just some cool shit you do. I need something to trigger my brain to think of them.
Did you get to blow any shit up?
We've used a lot of deck cord when I was in, blowing up trees and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Banking claymores. I think the most amount of claymores I've seen being banked up was probably about 15 to 20. So that was a pretty big bang when that one went off. Claymores aren't really that deadly. Like obviously you wouldn't want to stand in front of them, but the bang is brutal. Like if you were like anywhere within 50 meters of a claymore and you weren't ready for it, you'd hit the deck. You'd be fucking.
Yeah, it's a real sharp explosion too. It's not that like rolling boom. It's just a pop. It's very, very loud. Anything plastique is. Dead cord's really fun though. Dead cord's one of the most fun things to play with.
Yeah, so pretty much I think I can't remember the rule is, but you do a certain amount of laps around a tree for every thickness, and then you can blow up trees and shit. I shot plenty of Carl Gustav 84mm rocket launchers and seen plenty of Javs being shot. I've shot plenty of 66mm. 40mm are always fun. They're absolutely. The rule is you got to try and get as many in the air at the same time. So like when you're at the range, you're like could we get next one? Yeah, I've shot the automatic grenade launcher, the Mark 19. That's fun. That's probably the coolest gun I've shot. I've actually got a really interesting story for you. So I've shot a heap of 50 cal, and so we used to be mechanized when I first got in the battalion I was in. So we all had to get trained on how to use the 50 cal. So if we ever quickly get in the vehicle and start shooting it if we have to. But we did a lot of ground mounted stuff as well. So we had it on a tripod, and this one time we did this massive attack, and then we like changed position. So I had to do the support position where we were just shooting to the background while this platoon was pretending to attack up to shoot this other stuff, all live fire. So this was one of the coolest things I'd done at this stage. So this platoon probably had about 30 people. They're attacking towards these targets popping up. They're shooting, just all their normal guns and throwing grenades. West off to the side, probably about 150 meters to the side, with we had 284s, 266s going off nonstop. We had 2 ground mounted 50 cals, and I think someone shooting 40mm, all going off into behind to where they're attacking. So obviously it's safe for them. They're not going to get hit because we're shooting but it's to simulate a fuckload of noise, like realistic noise, as they're trying to attack a position. Anyway, so I'm behind this 50 cal because you had to be qualified on the guns to shoot them. And I'm behind this 50 cal and I'm shooting it, and I got about 300 or 400 rounds in, and I had the stoppage. And there's different types of stoppages, but this one was called a hard cock. And so what happens is the cocking handle wouldn't go all the way back. It was jammed halfway. And so my section commander came over and started kicking the shit out of it. Like that's actually how you actually get it out, right? So you got to just kick the shit out of it because they're big fucking guns. He kicks the shit out of it. And it finally dislodges the round that was stuck in there or whatever it was. And in the process of this, something happened, and I'll get back to that. So my company sergeant major was standing right behind me. He's in charge of the gun line, and he's like, "Yep, continue firing." I'm like, "Yep, seeing I'm firing now." And I went to shoot it, and the gun blew up. Right, legit, just massive breech explosion, big puff of like smoke and just metal going around, and like natural reaction, I covered my face and hit the deck, right? It's hard to explain it, but imagine having a tripod going, I don't know, down like that. It's hard to fucking explain it, but you have your feet up on the fucking legs, and your groin is aiming directly at this fucking 50 cal. So your dick, everything's just exposed to this gun. And the breech on a 50 cal is underneath it. So everything that comes out goes down. So when it blew up, I hit the deck and I'm covering my face. My company sergeant major was standing behind me. He's like, "Are you all right? You're right." Like, "Yeah, face is good." But my leg fucking hurts. And there's like blood coming out of my leg right next to my, like right where your femoral artery is. So it's like right up in my groin.
Shit.
And it's just like seeping out, like not like gushing, but I was like, it was fucking hurting. And so instantly, like, we knew something happened, and a bit of the cartridge blew out of the bottom, went in, missed my femoral artery, it missed all my nerves, and just lodged right up my groin. And like, it was like the first time anything like that had happened any time recently. So it was like big stop. And then the ambulance got called forward, but the ambulance didn't know where the fuck it was. They went to the wrong spot. And there's like this golden hour rule in the military. You're always going to be within an hour of the hospital. Tell you, if I was fucking going to die that day within that hour, I was no way I was getting to the hospital. But like instantly, as soon as it happened, like pants were ripped off, like fucking everything's out exposed. My mate's got his arm on me, his hands on my fucking groin. It's like fucking shit was going everywhere. And it's just like almost literally. And it was actually a pretty fucking freaky story. And
yeah.
To actually explain what happened, I think in the process of the actual gun being kicked, the barrel dislodged. So the way a 50 cal works, the barrel's loose and it comes back and it gets pushed to the side. And I think in the kicking of it, it actually pulled it center. So it was actually just sitting in there. And when I cocked the gun and put the next round in, imagine that's the whole of the gun and the round sticking out the back. It actually had a bit of the cartridge still sticking out the back. So when the firing pin hit the primer cap, it blew the back of the cartridge out. And like the actual bullet of the 50 cal was stuck halfway up the gun with half the cartridge still attached to it, because they actually cut the barrel open on the investigation, and all the other part of the cartridge came out the bottom and into my leg.
Yeah,
so
you just made a little. It's just a little brass pipe bomb at that point. We used to take empty 50 cal hulls, put some black powder in them, put a fuse in, crimp the top, and you've got little mini hand grenades. You know.
Yeah.
And that just blew up right next to your dick.
Yeah. So I missed all the crown jewels, so everything's all good there. But yeah, it was fucking pretty scary moment. And I was
what a terrible way to lose your dick.
It would have been. Yeah.
Yeah. How'd that happen? Well, my commanding officer, it was kicking the gun I was using, and then I tried to fire it, and now I don't have a dick. Like
so
that,
initially, everyone was blaming me. Everyone was blaming me, saying it was called a cook-off. So you shoot too many rounds, and the feed gets too hot, and it blows up because like the round goes in, and before it can even fire it, because there's so much heat going through it, it just blows up the round. And that's actually quite common. I've actually seen a fair few YouTube videos of it. Mine was definitely not a cook-off. Like I did nothing wrong, potentially. Like I was only a new soldier anyway. But later on that year, when I was in Malaysia, there was another guy. He actually had a cook-off, and his blew up and actually went into his testicle. Ooh. And yeah, and he was screaming that he was on fire, and no one believed it. Like, because they knew it blew up, but he's like, "I'm on fire." And they started calling him Ricky Bobby from that point onwards because he had a bit of brass in his testicles.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. And I've never met anyone else in the military that had that it happened to. So.
Wow, what a lucky guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you get I don't even know how it works in the U.S. military. Like, do you get a Purple Heart or something for getting injured, or is that only in like actual like line
the enemy
of
has to
stuff?
shoot you? I think.
No, so you're always covered under veteran affairs and that if you ever get an injury in the military. It's a bit of a process to get all the claims and that in, but once you do have it, you're covered for life. So, for example, my leg starts to play up now, which it hasn't yet. I would have it permanently covered for the rest of my life. You know, like I've had busted ankles and stuff like that. That's all covered because I've filled out all the documentation for it.
Mhm.
So if I ever go to hospital and like, you know, my ankle's playing up and I need to get an ankle reconstruction, they'll pay for it. But you got to fill the paperwork out. It's a pretty lengthy process. You're also covered for cancer, except for brain cancer. There's a few things. Even just as soon as you've served, you get covered for certain things.
Seems like
not
we
brain
want the
cancer.
brain cancer covered.
Well, okay, one of my best mates has brain cancer, and he's still serving. So,
Well, we can't afford to cover the brain cancer after all those tests we run on him.
well, technically,
You know?
once they boot him out, because he's going to have to get kicked out eventually. There's going to be a point where he's going to lose function to half his body. He's not going to be covered by the military.
That's
potentially.
Jesus,
Yeah, so
that's bullshit.
yeah, they're paying his bills at the moment, but at one point they'll be like, But the good thing for them is they're using him as a poster boy because, like, this guy's got cancer and he's still serving and doing all this great stuff for cancer, you know, research, raising money. And all
what kind of cancer does he have? Don't worry about it. It's the coin we're covering right now.
So yeah,
Is he gonna
it's really
live?
fucked. No, he'll die from it.
Sounds pretty bad. Yeah.
So I don't know the exact name of it. His Instagram's Willie Beating Cancer, and it's a tumor in his head. They can't operate it out. If they do operate it out, what will happen is he'll probably lose function to part of his body, half of his body. Just not sure to what severity. But because he's so fit and healthy already, the surgeons pretty much said, live your life now because it'll be better than being, you know, half paralyzed and not being able to do anything. But he'll eventually either get the surgery done and then have a few extra years, or it's that coin flip. Like, what do? Do you live?
Remember how you said it was hard to get fired in the service? I'd put that to the test, right? Go AWOL, live my best life, which probably involves not working a bunch.
Well, whilst getting chemo and all that, he actually got a really good opportunity to just pretty much taking as much time as he wanted off. Because 1 week of the month he'd have chemo, and then the week after he'd be fucked.
Mm-hmm.
And then he had 2 good weeks. So the 2 good weeks he literally just did whatever he wanted.
Yes.
But then he'd be, you know, then back to the chemo week and it was fucked again. And
He needs whatever drugs they're pumping into Ruth Bader Ginsburg, if she's even still around. Because if it can knock out, you know, stage 4 pancreatic cancer, my understanding, the most lethal cancer out there, it could help with brain cancer, right? She needs to share the load, share the love.
Wait. Maybe Share the Load is our charity.
Share the load. Yeah.
Samwise Gamgee quote. I like it.
Yeah. That's bullshit. That sucks. Man, how old is he? Is he, like you said, he was fit, so a young guy? Oh, Jesus.
24,
That's
you
tragic.
said?
Yeah, he was one of my diggers when I was Lance Corporal. I was in charge of him.
What is a digger?
A soldier, just an infantryman.
Okay.
Private. The guys dig holes.
Yeah, that makes sense. He's a digger. He digs holes. Yeah. God damn. I was hoping you would say he was much older than that. 24. That's pretty tragic.
But he could live for another 20 years.
Yeah.
If he lives healthy and they keep monitoring it, it could hit him all of a sudden, and it's not going to. The thing is, he'll know he's going to know it's having effect on him because it'll slowly put more pressure on that part of the brain, and he'll slowly start losing strength in half of his body. So his hand grip will start getting weaker, and he'll know it's coming along. So that's when he'll take more drastic actions on what should happen. But by that stage, it could even be too late to get surgery. So,
man, I'd so much rather just get hit by a bus one day and not know, you know, just like you're gone, you know, hopefully
Really?
many
Are you
years
sure?
from now.
I'd
as
like a
opposed
little
to
heads up.
Like knowing that it's coming, like, oh, I was trying to do my workouts and stay fit and I couldn't hold on to the dumbbell in my right hand. You know, I thought I felt something last week, but no, I thought it was just, you know, maybe a nutrition thing. But oh man, now it's coming. It's coming down the pike and it's not going to stop. That's scary.
He was massive into just partying and traveling, which the traveling part's all good. But now he's actually started to do a lot more meaningful stuff with life, as in he's actually doing the things he wants to do, like, you know, drive fast cars and go do all this cool stuff, because it's kind of just said, well, it's not just about partying now, it's about living life to how I want to live it. And that's kind of how I live as well now. I've been doing that for a while, though. I want to go to Europe. I'm going to live in Europe.
Yeah,
there's a really good song that reminds me of. It's called "Live Like You Were Dying." You know, the guy finds out he's dying of cancer, and it's like, You know, you think he's like, he took a good long hard look at what he's gonna do, and then it's like, and then the chorus is like, he went skydiving, Rocky Mountain climbing. He went 2.7 seconds on a bull name. You know, he went bull riding. Like he took that as the initiative to like really start living life to the fullest.
I'd give every drug a go just to see.
Yeah.
See what I'm
why not?
missing.
Anna Nicole Smith was a bitch. I could do better. No,
What
just me.
what did she die from? An
Drugs,
overdose?
right? She OD'd, I think.
I have
Yeah.
no idea.
Maybe it's too old.
Well, see, but I wouldn't OD on the drug. I
No,
would
just
have
try
my brain tumor, and then I would be like, I'm giving heroin a shot. Oh, that was pretty tits. I'm gonna be addicted to this the rest of my short
The
life.
doctor's
I
like,
can
it turns
see
out,
why-
meth really stresses me out.
I
Fuck
can see
that.
why people like this.
it turns out the tumor hates the heroin, Taylor. We're gonna need you to really.
Yeah, just the tumor hates meth, and heroin, and everything. It's like how one man cured himself, and it's me shaking in the middle of a street in a cardboard box. I'm all better with no teeth. Yeah,
You're all itchy.
gaunt as fuck. Yeah, no, I'd try that one. I'd want to skydiving. That almost
Yeah.
seems cliche,
He
but
died of-
I would do that if I was dying.
Combined drug intoxication.
Too many drugs.
Dude, so Green Beret, what's that like? I find that almost nobody who does really, I don't know how to more respectfully phrase super interesting things in the armed forces, actually talks about their super interesting things in the armed forces. I have no military background.
The Navy SEALs talk about it a lot.
Okay.
Like, hey, oh man, I just did something really cool. Hey, let's make a movie. Hey, I just did something really cool. Let's write a book.
Everyone pokes
I
at
just did
them for
something
that.
really cool. That's a TV show.
Where have you served? Can you talk about some of the places you've served?
Name it. I mean, I'm everywhere. I think you'd be pretty challenged to find or name a place that I haven't worked. Obviously, Iraq and Afghanistan a ton, and everywhere in all countries that are touching those same countries.
You too young for
And then
like Somalia?
Africa. The what?
Are you too young for like Somalia? Back when we were there, that's where Black Hawk Down was.
Yeah. I'm too young for the good old Black Hawk Down era. I have been there for other things though.
Okay.
Yeah, that was like 10 years before me.
I'm old.
Like,
yeah.
But Shugart and Gordon are two of my heroes. I like worship those guys.
You're a sniper.
I am. Yeah, they're graduates from my sniper school. So
Really?
there's only there's like 6 sniper schools in the military, you know. Mine's the best and most elite, obviously. And it's a pretty good school. It's a prestigious school.
So are you currently
I'm really
you're
happy
Green
about
Beret?
the amount of lag going on here.
Yes, I am.
Are you
That is true.
currently a Green Beret? I don't know how this works. Like, is it once you achieve a certain level of like proficiency, does the Army just sort of keep you sort of in it? Is it Army? Am I screwing this up? I'm not a military guy. It's Army, right?
No, you're totally correct. Green Berets are from the Army. And once you're Green Beret, always Green Beret. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you're still working in the capacity of a Green Beret. So I still am. I'm still an active Green Beret. You know, I still teach, still work, still deploy, still do all that stuff.
But you don't seem to have a regular schedule. Like I'm sure there are Green Berets who are told what to do all the time. That doesn't sound like your lifestyle. Or not.
I guess that's a better way to articulate it. That's what I was wondering. Is like you have all these plates you're spinning. It seems like being a Green Beret would take up so much time; it wouldn't be possible.
Well, there's a lot of the things that I do are symbiotic. You know, like there's bleed over between them, so they're very related. While I might be doing something in some capacity, it complements something else that I'm doing in a different capacity. I'm not being like, I am being vague and ambiguous. Listen, I don't want to have to
We
kill you
understand
guys.
if you have
You're
to
funny.
be. It'd be cooler. Yeah.
You do understand I trained under Jacob for years. You know, like
I do. Yep. So you would be harder to kill. To a degree.
To a degree. To a very small degree. Yeah.
I have to fix my mustache.
So you're a sniper. Favorite caliber? Was it vary per job?
How far away is my target?
I don't even know how far away a target would be. You know, like I only hear about the longest of longest shots, but what would be a typical day in the life of a sniper?
I mean, depends where you are. You know, if you're in Fallujah or you're in Sadr City or you're in Baghdad, you know, your engagements can be anywhere between 1 and 3, maybe 400 meters because you're in an urban area. Mm-hmm. If you're in the mountains of Afghanistan and you're trying to, you know, shoot a guy that's planting an IED on a road and you're on a mountaintop that's a mile away, that's a little bit further. So, you know, like depends on where you are and what you're doing. Somewhere between 100 meters and 2,000 meters.
So let's do both, right? Urban and mountaintop. In urban, you're choosing what?
In urban, I'm pretty happy with a 308. You know, I can shoot anywhere from, you know, obviously point blank to 800 to 1,000 meters pretty accurately. Absolutely being able to, you know, hit a person quickly and effortlessly. And, you know, using that AR platform, you can have follow-on shots. So you could have targets at different distances that are moving, and you can engage those targets much more rapidly. If I'm in a rural area, mountains of Afghanistan, I would go with a 338 Lapua.
I thought you might say that, but you went so far. I was wondering if you'd pick 50 cal. Is it just because you hate carrying it around?
The 50 cals. I'm honestly not a huge fan of the bullet, the ballistics, the velocity, or the gun. So I like the 338 Lapua.
Kyle would know all this, but the 50 cal is not faster than the 338.
It is not.
Oh, I didn't realize that. So it's slow. Does the speed help it have a more level trajectory?
Yes, the speed, the grain of the bullet, obviously the 50 cal. So like if you take like a ping pong ball and you chuck it, right, it's gonna go so fast for so long, depending on the velocity that leaves your hand. Then you take a tennis ball and then you chuck it as fast and as hard as you can, and it maintains obviously a speed faster, and holds that speed longer than the ping pong ball. But then you take a hard ball from baseball and you chuck that, and it goes even further. So one of the benefits to the 50 cal is the grain, the size of the bullet. It's very big. So it's like a softball. You know, you hit somebody with a softball traveling at whatever 2,500 feet per second. That sucks. The 338 Lapua, being smaller bullet with a higher muzzle velocity, it shoots very straight and out to ranges that are usually going to limit a person by their capabilities. So the bullet's the bullet is going to surpass the shooter's capabilities.
So I read this on the internet.
Why is that not more common than the 50 cal, or is that just a misconception that these snipers are walking around with these giant 50 caliber cannons for snipers?
Yeah, just a misconception.
Yeah, I was going to head there. So I read on the internet, so it must be true, that a lot of people like 50 cals because they just shoot through all these like stone walls and stuff that somebody might hide behind.
Yeah, so again, so the 50 cal was originally designed to be used against equipment. Mm-hmm. It wasn't an anti-personnel weapon. It was to shoot the engine of a car or to shoot a helicopter that was hovering. That was the design and the intent behind that bullet. That's why we stuck them on airplanes to shoot down other airplanes. That's why we put them on top of tanks. The 338 was designed to shoot people. And that's why I asked, well, what am I doing? I would pick what gun and what caliber bullet I would be using depending on what my mission was. So if I'm going to be, sniper cover for a team of soldiers that was moving into a village, I'll maybe take a 50 cal.
Really cool guest tonight, I think. Chiz has informed us that you are a big fan of the show. You watch, at least keep up to date with it. You know who we all are. And he said that you follow like politics and global happenings and such. But what's really interesting, I think, is that you're from Iran. Is that right? And then you immigrated to Iraq for a while?
Actually, the other way around.
Okay.
I'm
interesting.
Iraqi. My mother and father are Iraqis. but they migrated to Iran in the 90s, running away from Saddam's regime. That was after my family. So my parents went to Iran, and then I was born. And in 2003, when the regime went away and America liberated Iraq,
A little freedom.
You're welcome, by the way.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Free Americans, thank you. They liberated Iraq. We went back against the will of my father, because my father at the time was in Australia, trying to secure a little gathering for us there. So that also ruined his plans to go there, because he was planning on us coming from Iran. So we went back to Iraq and lived there from 2003 to 2010, and then we migrated to Europe finally.
How old are you? So how old were you?
Yeah, I was going to say, this
migration?
is a lot of history for someone who's 13 years old.
I took it a lot. I'm 27, actually. I'm almost 27.
Okay, so
I was born in 26. I was born in almost 27. I was born in 1991 in Iran. But yeah, I do look young. My brother always gets the thing. People tell him that he looks older than me, and I look younger than him. So I do get that a lot. I do look young. So I guess that's a good thing.
It is. So
anyway,
that is an incredible amount of it's almost hard with something like this to even ask a question, because I am so removed from it and I have no idea of any of the happenings. What are just you said you were a translator for a while there. How old were you when you were doing that, and what was that like? Was that for US forces or just
Yeah, so that's also another crazy story. In 2004, maybe beginning of 2005, the dates are kind of blurry for me at the moment, but in beginning of 2005, let's say, I used to live with my aunt, with my family, which we were all living in there, and that was behind a very big shrine mosque, Al Sahla. It's called in Najaf, Al Kufa. You guys all know it, of course.
Of course.
And
obviously.
yeah,
That's the tune.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the militia, Al Mahdi militia, that were insurgents following Muqtada Sadr, which were militia in the south controlling the region. At the time, the coalition decided that the Spanish and Italian forces and some Polish forces would control that region because it was the most stable. And Baghdad and Tikrit and all those unstable regions would go to U.S. troops, UK, and other forces. Anyway, so those militias had a lot of control on the region. And I used to go there a lot with my parents, and they heard me once speaking Farsi, which is Iran's language, which I was, of course, born and raised there. I speak Farsi as fluently as I speak Arabic. And they just asked me. I was like 14 or 15 years old, and they were like, hey, would you mind translating for us? So I went ahead, translated for a few people.
Well, hang on. Wait a minute. Wait. Let's
No
skip over
child
that.
labor laws.
Hang on a second.
Yeah, go ahead.
So you're
go ahead.
14 years old, and what nationality were
15
these?
maybe.
Okay, what
Iraqis,
nationality were these guys? So
Yeah.
were these Iraqi soldiers who asked you?
No,
to do
not
this?
soldiers, but insurgents and militia that were used to secure shrines
Okay.
and places that are public that could be eventually targeted for car bombing or terrorist attack and stuff.
Okay.
So they would search people that would try to enter the shrine, and basically patting them down and all that. So basically, I used to stand there. Well, at the start, I translated for a few people, and the need for a translator kept coming up. So they just when they saw me again, they were like, "Hey, you should come on, like sort of a part-time thing."
How much does a job like this pay when you're 14 years old?
It didn't pay anything at the beginning.
Fuck! So you're
Wow.
I
was like-
want to picture this. So you're
Are you giving
standing
goods or
outside-
services?
You and this military guy are standing outside of like a site that you're trying to protect from someone potentially walking in with a bomb. You're the translator, so you're standing right next to the guy who's like the point man to stop the bomb, right? You're in just as much danger as he is, right? Or do you get go get behind some sandbags until they need you?
No. As fun as that might sound, like I've been in a lot of shitty situations with attacks and stuff, which we'll get to later, hopefully. But that job at the time was pretty much like very safe job. Like there weren't the worst thing we stopped was an Iranian. One of the reasons, actually, let me interrupt myself. One of the reasons they needed a Persian translator was because a lot of Iranians started coming in as pilgrims. My English is failing me right now. Anyway,
No, it's really
so
good.
Yeah, I mean,
any
it's,
Farsi.
yeah, well, I mean, it's a bit out of practice, but I'm trying. So these pilgrims came after 2003 because they had a ban by Saddam, so they weren't allowed. But after Saddam went away, of course, the borders were open and they started coming in. So the need for a translator arose. That's the first thing. So after I started working there, the worst thing we had, I think, was a couple of Iranians trying to smuggle a little bit of hash in their pockets, drugs, like that kind of stuff.
What's
That's
the punishment for that? Like when they found out that they had hash on them, was it like hey, you give us that hash and you move along, or was it like, oh, you've done fucked up?
They were pulled apart by 4 camels.
Yeah, well, funny story about that. The first time we found a bit of hash on someone, they were searching them, patting them down, and then I was just standing there talking to the guys anyway. So they searched this guy, they open his wallet, and they have like little thing this big, and it looks brown. I mean, we don't know what hash is, what weed is, all those kind of drugs. We've heard about them, but we don't know how they look, how they smell, how they taste. So the security guy is like, "What the hell is this?" And he's like, "His medicine." So our boss comes around from the. He's like, "Oh wait! I've heard about this. This is hash actually." And in Najaf, which is about 50 kilometers away.
Heard about it.
They have heard about it in the Sigur Shrine, that people have been bringing this in, and this is kind of a sort of a drug that is banned. So he's like, wait a second, give it to me. And he's inspecting this shrine to find out what it is. So he's like, I don't know. And he looks at me and he's like, here, give it a taste. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm not sure I should do this. Anyway, so I, like the dumbass I am, I open it up and then split it in half like this big. I split it in half and put the whole thing in my mouth. And it's really stupid decision.
Anything.
Yep. And I start like feeling all kind of weird things like
What does
in my
that
mouth.
do? Can
as
you
far as
eat pot?
taste. I don't know what it was.
Shitty.
They call it hash in our country. I don't know what it is, how it's
So hash is when they take the pollen from like the marijuana bud. Like you've got lots of buds of marijuana, and the way I've seen it made is like they use their bare hands to like stroke the plants, and you're getting all that pollen, that sticky pollen stuck to your hands. And they do this until they've got like a film of it on them, and they take like a butter knife and they scrape it off, and you've got sort of this sort of waxy dark.
Yeah, exactly.
And then they press it into bars.
Yeah.
What
So I put it
happens
in my
if you
mouth.
eat it?
And I start chewing, and well, I mean, I've started feeling like a burn. I mean, it was like 15 years ago, but I bought new shoes and new pants before, like a week ago when I started this job. So I start chewing, and everyone's laughing at me, of course, at the security guards. And I'm like, at once, I just spit it out. I wait 5 seconds, and I just vomit on my shoes and my new pants. It was a shitty day at the job. Anyway. So they take this guy and they put him in a little holding cell, which was just a room people used to study in the year 1800 or something like that. Really old shrines with old rooms and old doors. Basically, push the door and the lock breaks. So it wasn't any cell or anything. But I mean, they put him in there. They waited for the police. Iraqi police came over and they just took him with them. I don't know what happens to them. Possibly.
So when you were working as a translator.
Yeah.
Did you have like neighbors or like distant neighbors who were like angry at you for cooperating with the Americans or the Italians or whatever?
Cooperation with the Americans came at a later date. In 2000, and maybe you've heard of this, the Battle of Najaf.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the major battles that took place against the insurgents of the south, the Jaysh al-Mahdi. And I could actually might be able to find some coordinates for you for where this all exactly happened if you want that.
No, it's good. Just
anyway,
what year was this? So how old were you?
2005. So I was basically 15, and I just started working for them like about 2 months or something. And the activity of these insurgents, Jaysh al-Mahdi, which I worked for as a translator, was like very high. They started enforcing some new laws and other stuff, which a lot of people weren't happy with. The thing that angered the coalition forces was the fact that they started fighting Americans, trying to take secure areas. Anyway, so a command came from America or something, and basically it said all Polish, Spanish, and Italian forces may evacuate, and U.S. military will take over that city, which was my city. So at that shrine, one of the hardest battles that took place was in my backyard. So that's another very, very like it's kind of hard to talk about. I mean, there was a lot of scary moments in our lives. I mean,
and this battle was at that same age for you, right around 2005 there?
2005 it was Battle of the Najaf. So anyway, so the Americans come in, a lot of resistance because the leader of Jaysh al-Mahdi told all of his insurgents, Jaysh al-Mahdi, he was Muqtada al-Sadr, maybe you've heard of him, the asshole with the thing, pretty popular. He was on CNN like every other week at the time, even lately. Anyway, so battle goes down and we're holed up in the corner of our house, and tanks coming through the house through our backyard, which was actually our front yard, because the engineers that structured those houses are pretty much dumbasses. They built one room and then a room next to it and then another room next to it, and then the backyard would be basically in front of it, and the door would be at the side, not at the front. So it's a pretty weird design.
It is odd.
Yeah, so we were at the end of the house, like at the farthest room, and at the back, like the wall that we faced was pretty much our neighbor that also had the exact same structure of the house, except the other way around. Anyway, so tanks were coming in, and like the ground is shaking, bullets flying everywhere. 2 days, and then everything settles down. Americans come door to door telling us to come out and be searched, and we got searched and all that, and then basically
I feel like we spent more time on the door than the actual war here. So there's bullets flying, there's tanks moving in.
Yeah.
Like, what was that part all about?
Well, I mean, there isn't much to it. We basically just cowered like all the other families. I mean, I was young and my father wasn't there.
Stayed inside, and you could hear bullets like zipping by.
Yeah, bullets, explosions. It was intense. We didn't just hear them. It was like we were just right there, and the wall that was like the wall of our backyard was actually broken down by a tank because it hit it, and yeah, it was pretty intense.
How long did it last? Or how long, I guess, were you holed up in your house there for the whole 2 days?
Yeah, we were holed up 2 days. Well, thankfully we had food and all that stuff. My cousin, actually, which was my aunt's house, had an AK, and he was like holding it by himself. And I was like, "What the fuck are you doing?" I didn't say anything, obviously, but my aunt was like, "You dumbass! If the Americans come in, the first one they shoot is you. Why the hell do you even have it at your side? It's not gonna help you." I was like, "Maybe some insurgents will try to hide in our house. I'm not gonna let them. American will kill us." Anyway, so so that happened, and that went on. The next thing that I remember happening was like just life going on, and a couple of weeks later,
real quick, like as the battle was raging and everything, do you remember, like, obviously fear's the number one thing, but as far as like anger at the sides of the battle, were you just like, what was that mentality like these fucking Americans, or like, oh, both of these fucking people, or like what were you thinking as far as just the direction? Well, I know you were young at 15.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, I was 15 at the moment. I didn't really have a specifically orientate my political opinion or anything, but at the moment I feel differently, of course. But at that time I was just scared, and with my family just waiting to see what happens. That was it. Yeah, but so after that, a few weeks ago, we kept like life went on, and then with my family we went to visit the shrine to just go pray and stuff. And when we went in, a lot of the people obviously changed, but some of the people that worked for militia, after surrendering, the American agreed to keep. So the commander that used to be kind of my boss, like, I mean, when I say commander, it sounds like a military commander, but he was just a dumbass that had control of the search point that was situated right at the shrine. So he was still there, and he was like, "You should come back because we still have a lot of Iranians coming in after the battle, maybe next week, hopefully, in the coming weeks, hopefully." So
still no pay though, right?
Yeah, at that point, after the second time I came back with them, they did start to pay me.
How much? I need to know, like exactly how much, because
that's too dangerous of a job to not get paid a decent amount.
Yeah. Like you should be getting paid like those fucking crab fishermen on like Deadliest Catch, right? There should be like a voiceover as you like translate and check papers, like Ahmed is making more money this week than most Americans will make in a year. But instead, like what are you actually making?
I did make bank. So let's see. As far as numbers go, I made the first 2 months, I made 15,000 dinari, which is about $14.
Oh shit!
$14.
That's gonna make it rain.
I'm always bamboozled by foreign currencies.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
God damn!
15,000 dinari
I'm
is
such a
about-
fool. I don't know why I thought I'm like 15 grand. This motherfucker had me going. Oh, nope, $14.
Yeah,
Couple of foot long subs.
I mean, you got to think. I was young and I didn't have anything.
Or a little
else.
hash.
And yeah, I mean, yeah, that too. But
You get them for free.
14,000 dinari, I could have bought like shoes, a few books for my school, and new clothes. So it was helpful. I mean, I didn't do much. I just went there 2 hours a day. It wasn't like a 9 to 5. Yeah, I mean the danger, of course. But
yeah,
after the Americans came, we were hoping there would be no more danger. So yeah, that's that.
You're welcome again.
How did that pan out?
Thank you very much. The American dollar felt good. Yeah. So after that, Americans came, of course, I think at 10 o'clock in the morning and at 4 o'clock in the midday, and they just came to check around. They go into the shrine, even though a lot of people were angry about that because they were quote unquote not Muslims.
What happened when they came, like, when you guys were in your house and they came to your house? Was it after the battle that you left and then the Americans found you, or did they actually break into your house?
No, they didn't break into the house. They just knocked on the door really, really hard and shouted, if your families come out, hands on your head, no weapons, no movement. So we all came out like the family that we are, and we stood there. Americans started coming in. We went in the house, take a really quick look, and they just saw women and stuff. They didn't even search us, so they just left.
Did they didn't find your cousin's AK either, eh?
Even if they have found it, everyone had an AK there. So
I assumed so.
Yeah, Kyle's got a couple in
a
frame.
lot of people had. Yeah, he had a couple of AKs under the cabin, but they didn't search very well. They weren't searching for AKs; they were searching more for people that were hiding, or anyway, from the insurgencies that were hiding, and big weapons, possibly RPGs and stuff. Those were the things that they were looking for, because RPGs played a big role in that battle. Yeah, lots of casualties from the insurgent side.
Wow.
So 2 years of Battle of Najaf, and I believe 40 American soldiers died, and 4,000 or something, or 3,000 insurgents died. So that shows the effectiveness of your military.
Of tanks. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the insurgents also had a lot of hardware. They had a lot of good Hummers and big trucks, shielded trucks, I remember. But I mean, of course, it didn't come close to the.
Yeah, there was I don't want to get too specific, but there's a member of my family who was in the first Iraq War, and he had a lot of like mixed feelings and stress afterwards about how lopsided it was. Like there was some guilt because he was a tank commander, and they just like rolled the fuck through the Iraqi tanks and stuff, and after the fact, it was something he had to cope with.
That's an interesting perspective. I hadn't thought about that, of being like, oh yeah, we were in the war and we did what we had to do, but I was in a tank that they gave me and said, hey, drive this as your job as a tank commander. In this war, it just happens to be an invincible magic ship that you can just drive around. Like,
oh yeah, I mean, in these battles that happened, the only problem Americans faced were the numbers. I mean, these insurgents would scatter into neighborhoods, and in every house there would be 5 or 4 of them. And it doesn't matter what you have. Is it the drone? Is it the tank? I mean, you will get ambushed. And it's a lot of time. It takes a lot of time to clean out those neighborhoods. So that was challenge number 1, just the numbers and how they were scattered. And obviously urban warfare. I mean, it was months before the main battle of the Najaf ended. The battle that we experienced in Kufa, which is like a little, it's a really small town right next to Najaf. Pretty important as far as position. It's right on the Euphrates, and that took 2 days. But the battle of Najaf, the main battle of Najaf, took 2 months or something.
For the insurgents that were there, you're talking about them. Was it common for them to have to like break into someone's house and be like, you're going to hide us here? Or did they usually have enough people who were on their side that they could go find somewhere? Or was it kind of a fear that they would show up and harass you?
I couldn't answer that, man. I'm sorry, but I have no idea. Maybe, but I've never heard of that or never seen it, so I don't know. But it is possible, obviously. I mean, they used a lot of shitty tactics, even though they're it's against all their mottos and they're Islamic, and you know how it goes. These insurgents, when it comes to it, if it's life or death, they will do anything. Doesn't matter if it's against their ideologies or instruction of their leader or whatever. Anyway.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't put it past them.
Man, that is intense.
Yeah, and so I didn't tell you about when I met with a few of the soldiers that they came to you. They used
the
to
American soldiers or the insurgents?
Okay. The Americans. After the whole battle, we went to the mosque one day, and I started talking to the my old boss. And Americans came in, and they started talking to people and stuff, just kind of seeing how the searching and the patting down goes on. There wasn't much to do. So they talked to me, and at the time I was watching a lot of English movies and stuff, and I still have my DVD collection. I used to buy 10 DVDs a day, which were basically I don't know, 1,000 dinari, like 90 cent, which is like basically next to nothing for a movie. So I spent all my money just buying DVDs of shows. Like I remember Lost and 24 were big at the time. So those were my favorite. Yeah, exactly. That's really weird, but I really love that show. Anyway, at the time. So I have a lot of DVDs, and I picked up a lot of language from that. So it was my third language. So it was pretty impressive for these guys. So they were like, so you speak Arabic fluently and a bit of English. That could be better, but also Persian that we very much need because of all the pilgrims that are coming in. So the American soldier is like, if you come tomorrow, we will take you to the checkpoint at the next to your neighborhood. We need a few translators there. So you got to stand there for 5 or 6 hours. And we'll pay you, of course, $100. And I'm like, oh my God, $100? Are you serious? So that was my biggest payday as a translator. So the next day I came over and they picked me up and I went there and they gave me a vest and I standed there and basically didn't translate anything, absolutely nothing. Just talked to the soldiers in the first day. A few weeks later, after the combat, the dust settled down, a lot of pilgrims started coming in. A lot of people started getting arrested. I mean, Iranians really hate Americans, even the pilgrims. Yeah. So anyway, a lot of translating was needed. So I basically I was on my toes. My English was very weak at the time, so I was barely speaking. And yeah, so that was also a big challenge for me. So I did that for a couple of months, and I think.
What was the attitude of the soldiers like when you were kind of getting to know them and talk to them?
The best. One of the funnest thing I've done, in this whole shitty situation, was translating for the soldiers. They were telling me all about the American life and how I should go to America since I'm learning and I'm smart enough and this and that. They were motivating me to do all kind of things. So I just tell them I would really love to go to study in America or maybe in Europe or wherever. And they would motivate me and they would you work here 6 months on this salary, you'll be able to save up a bit of money. You should save up in this and that. And so they were really cool guys. Really cool guys. I didn't really have bad experience with the American soldiers.
That's good. You said it was annoying dealing with how much the Iranians hated the Americans, even the pilgrims. What do you mean by that? They just.
Yeah, I mean they wouldn't be wanna touched. That's number one, which patting down becomes really challenging. So that's why they called a few guys from the mosque, from the old insurgencies that they used to, like the checkpoint at the mosque. So they used to pat down so the American basically did respect that because a lot of Iranians started getting angry and started shouting and this and that, and weapons were pointed at some point, I remember.
Why was that was such a big deal about being touched?
Yeah, I mean, they didn't just, I don't know, Iranians. I mean, Iraqis, most of Iraqis, if they would want to search by a soldier, they would just, okay, go ahead, man. No big deal. But I remember a lot of the pilgrims from Iran made a big deal about it. And I used to intervene and come in, speak Farsi, their language, so they would feel a little bit better about it. I'm like, don't worry about it. It's just for security, no big deal, and this and that. But it didn't help. I was like, no, this American dirty peasant will not touch me in this and that. Yeah, I remember a lot of hatred from Iran.
When you translated, did you like tell them straight like stuff like dirty peasant, or did you like smooth it over?
Oh, absolutely not. I definitely did some.
Say it again.
Because
you did, you did smooth
I
it
was
over, or
really
you didn't? I caught.
Yeah, I mean, I was young. I mean, I was afraid. I remember like every time someone would say something that I would feel would offend the other party, I was like, oh my God, how am I going to say that?
You're a terrible translator.
Yeah.
I need
exactly.
to know. Like, if I'm sitting there paying you 80,000 denarii or whatever.
So if they just took a transcript of your translations, they'd be like, this is the friendliest checkpoint that we've ever seen. Like, everybody seems to be getting along. A lot of thank yous and pleases.
It's not that extreme. No, but I mean, a lot of anger was also conveyed by their facial expression and how they start screaming. So I didn't have to translate everything. Anyway, but when there was like a few words thrown at, I wouldn't translate them unless I was asked. I don't actually remember if I ever done that.
Do you remember like one line or one thing you were told to translate that sticks out in your mind as something that like was like, you're like, oh shit?
Kus omak comes to mind, which means you motherfucker. But much worse, because in the Western culture, motherfucker is used like a buzzword, and in Arabic, that's like serious shit. So when you say that, like you're offended, like I fuck your mother or something. So that's the thing that I would never translate or never even dare to translate. So,
oh man, that must be stressful with curse words like. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Kyle.
I want it straight. Like I'd have to be like, look, if they're saying some crazy shit, I need to fucking know it because things can escalate here. We're not talking about hurting feelings. We're talking about people dying. You let me know what they're saying over there. Like you can smooth me over a little bit if I step out of line, but don't you smooth them. I need to know. I need it like warts and all.
Yeah, but it must have been annoying to have to be like, all right, I'm translating this. What I'm about to say is from him. It's from him. Keep in mind, not from me. I think you're great. I'm on your side. All right, like. You're got to be everybody's buddy.
You also have to consider that the fact that it was a checkpoint. It wasn't something official or anything. Exact translations weren't needed. So basically, I had to just tell them what they were saying. In any context would have been it would have been okay. Doesn't matter. I don't always have to be literally translate every single word. So as long as the message gets through.
How did like your day-to-day life, just routine, kind of change up after the Americans showed up?
Yeah, so after the Americans showed up, there was still a lot of what do you call it? Like still a lot of movement from the insurgents. So they were still there, obviously, but they got a ceasefire order from their leader.
Was it something like you were being stopped and checked more often, or you'd go outside and be like, oh, look, a Humvee and a bunch of soldiers again, surprise?
No, I mean, we were kind of in our bubble. We didn't go far very much. I used to go to school, go to the thing. I used to go to friends and go home. That was my life for years at that point. But after months later, I mean, a lot of people, like my family, my cousins that were older than me, they were like, you need to stop working for the Americans. It's not safe anymore. So I think I worked 3 months in total, and then I stopped. So I just quit. I told them I had to move and concentrate on my schools, and my finals were coming up, which were actually coming up at the time. So I just quit for that reason. I was kind of afraid.
You think it was the right move at the time to be like, yeah, this is getting a little too hot? Or is it something that looking back, you're like, oh, I probably could have kept doing that a little longer, made some more Skrilla?
No, it never got hot. To be honest, if I'm honest, it never got hot. Not working for that checkpoint. It never got hot. I mean, the heated discussions between a tourist and another salesman or a soldier that was trying to pat down, that was the most extreme thing I witnessed at the time. So it wasn't hot or anything. But I kept hearing from friends and family, they were like, you got to stop from working for the Americans. You never know what happens and this and that. You know how people are. Just fear in general. So it was a messy situation at the time. So you don't want to get it tangled up in something.
A lot of them just didn't like his ideas on cutting back on the military because they themselves were former military, and I'm sure they fear like not just cutting back on the number of fighters or missiles, but maybe against benefits for the VA and such. But some of the guys there were wounded veterans and work with wounded veteran advocacy groups and all that.
It's
so.
nice to have better tech and be better prepared than your adversaries too, right? I mean, it's not supposed to be a fair fight when you're an American. You're supposed to be OP.
In war in general, it's never supposed to be a fair fight. That's how you win.
I just mean Americans are supposed to be OP. Our guns are supposed to shoot straighter. Our drones are supposed to be superior. Our planes are supposed to be undetectable. Our ships are supposed to shoot from further away. Like America is supposed to virtually have cheat codes every time we get into war. and if
mission accomplished with our military.
Yeah.
Coming again to save the motherfucking day. Yeah. I mean, when you spend $600 or $700 billion a year, your shit should be better. Right. I read that that F-35 program, because they got 3 of them, one for each branch, and they said that the 3 versions have drifted so far apart in design that it would have been cheaper to have designed 3 completely different airplanes from the beginning than what they've done. I always hear about just so many billions wasted, but I guess you gotta break a few eggs to make an omelet, right? Like every project can't go perfectly. There's got to be some hiccups along the way if you're gonna have the best stuff. And arguably we do in most regards. I think there are some tanks out there that have.
Is it even arguably? Like we're pretty.
Yeah,
much
it is. So maybe I'm speaking out of school here, but just hanging out with the guys I was talking with that had served overseas a lot. Apparently, those Russian helicopters are just tough as nails. And I did see a vehicle or a video a while back of one taking a direct RPG hit. But you'd probably talk to someone who knows more about the Apaches versus the Russian counterpart, and they'd say, well, ours don't need to be tough. Nobody can fucking shoot ours or something like that. You know what I mean? So it seems that, yeah, we've got the best of a lot of stuff. But I hear about these supersonic or what do they call it? It's a different kind. It's these hypersonic missile systems the Chinese have that kind of make aircraft carriers obsolete. And I hear about how tough the Russian helicopters are, and the British tanks. Some people say are superior because it was going along. They were working with. It was very similar to the Abrams, but theirs was just improved upon a lot of things the Abrams had done. So I don't know. I'm not an expert on that sort of thing, but you would hope that we had at least top tier of everything, right?
Yeah.
I mean, most of the time we're fighting against like 1980s Soviet shit that's been sold to these.
I was just hearing recently. So Soviet's at war, I guess you'd call it, in Syria right now. And Russia, thank you, is at war in Syria right now. And they are using new jets. And apparently their new jets are pretty awesome. Like we're used to them like, oh yeah, they're stuck in the 80s. Our stuff just mops up. They're out of the 80s now. They're now.
Well, yeah, the Russians have, but it's just like it seems like all the other bad guys, like the Iranians, whoever, I call bad guys, and I'm sure it's all point of view, but
bad guys.
All them other bad guys.
Oh,
yeah, absolutely, yeah. They're always flying those old Russian tanks and old Russian MiGs and stuff. But I was reading about, I guess they were using these drones that completely like black out the radar, and like we can't really tell what they're doing sometimes. And I thought that was advanced until I started talking to some of the military guys I was with this week. And they were talking about using EMP grenades in 2005 when they were serving in Iraq. And it's like, I was like, those are real? And they're like, yeah, it blacks out everything. And he's like, but then we got the drones, and we'd fly the drone in ahead of us, and every cell phone within like this huge radius just goes dead. Like none of them work. And so
That's
they
crazy.
could go in and hit people, and the people couldn't call and let anybody know that they were being hit. It was pretty cool to hear like the war stories, to be honest, like lots of cool war stories. They're talking about being in firefights, and like the one guy like had his head down in the Hummer taking cover as they were getting shot, and a guy shot him with a PKM right in the calf, and he was looking at his calf when it took the round, and he watched it go and like blood spray everywhere, and then he pulls out his phone, he's like, and then I took a selfie of myself, and he's got a selfie of him, and while he's taking the picture, someone's bandaging his leg up. So that was pretty cool, and we were actually shooting a PKM that day, so I got an idea of just how awful that would have been.
Jesus. Why would you take a selfie?
'Cause he's fucking Ranger. He's hard fucking core.
Maybe he just realized that he was about to live life on Easy Street.
That wasn't
blown off, right?
Oh, it didn't. No, it just blew a chunk out. He bandaged it up and kept fighting. Like he got in another engagement where they're driving along. He looks out his window and he sees there's a car to his right. He looked in the car to his right, and there's a father and a son. And he remembered thinking, that boy looks like my boy. And then there's another car to the right of that car. and it starts swerving over and then goes off. The boy and the dad, their car completely explode. They're just insta-killed. His vehicle also explodes, but he's okay. But they're on fire inside the vehicle trying to get out. So it burned his ears up really badly, and it, skin hanging off their nose and stuff.
Did he look damaged when you saw him?
No.
No. Okay.
His hand was burnt pretty badly, but not in the way that's disfiguring. More like what I had, where like eventually you just really can't even tell.
Mm-hmm.
And he was just, he was kind of sad. It was a sad moment there, when you talked about the boy dying and exploding, and then he was like, but then they didn't know how to bandage his ears up. Nobody knew how to bandage an ear, so I had these big elf ears that I was wearing. that I was wearing around the base. Everybody was laughing at us because our ears were all burnt up and crispy and black. And yeah, so it was interesting hearing all those war stories from those guys. They've been in lots of actual firefights, and
I don't know if it's obviously true with the special forces. I'm not sure if it goes all the way down the line to like a regular infantryman, but the way the special forces guys head toward the danger is remarkable to me. Like, I saw. Go on.
You want to tell a story about Chris Kyle being involved with a thing where there was an 8-year-old kid up on a building shooting a gold AK down at the troops.
Chris Kyle, Medal of Honor recipient, right? Do I have the guy right? Yeah.
Yeah. There's an 8-year-old kid shooting a gold AK down at the troops. Apparently, Saddam would give his lieutenants a gold AK, so anyone who saw them would know this guy's got power, like do what he fucking says. And nobody wanted to shoot the kid, but they're taking fire. And they said Chris Kyle went out and took the kid out, and he was like, it's him or us. It's him or us. He's up there just raining bullets down on my guys as we're friends. There was a lot of sobering stories told during that trip.
Tim Kennedy
That sounds so depressing.
was talking about how his friend died, and I guess the thing that he really clung to was the fact that he died rushing toward the gunfire, and it took a lot of shots to kill him. Oh God, I'm not a military guy, but it seemed like a movie almost. Like most people die when you shoot them. This guy got like shot in the leg, and he's like, well, I can still limp toward him. Then he gets shot in the arm, and he's like, well, I can shoot left-handed. And then he eventually got headshotted, if I remember the story right. And he was just like, it's rough. And the special forces community is apparently very tight, so everyone's like calling everyone, and this guy's down. And but he took great solace, I think it's the reason the word right, in the fact that he died headed toward the danger. Like that's how they all would want to go. If they're going to drop, it needs to be running toward the gunfire. And it's pretty badass. If you were to talk to like 19-year-old me, it'd be like, yeah, that sounds like a great job. How do I sign up? Can you promise me that I'll be the guy that has to run toward the gunfire? Because I don't want any of those other I don't want to sign up, roll the dice, and find out that I'm not in death's way all the time. You got to assure me of that. 42-year-old version of me, that's what I am now, is like, like, I don't, no death, thank you.
Yeah.
No, this is. I'm good here.
That's why they got to get those guys young. They still have all the testosterone and pent up aggression to unleash there. Like
their frontal lobes are not fully developed, and they're much easier to break down and build up again.
Remember when Trump killed that Iranian general?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So Bush and Obama could have killed that guy at any time, but they were afraid to because of potential Iranian reprisal. That guy flew into Baghdad with like all his boys, and they got in. They land at the airport. We've got 3 predators over the airport. We told the Iraqis that they were unarmed surveillance drones for airport security. We watch him land his plane. He hops off. Him and his boys in 2 SUVs. They drive off on the side road. Fire 3 missiles. 2 at his vehicle. 1 at the one behind it. They fucking vaporize. There's just nothing left. All like 12 or 15 of them fucking gone. He's been the general there. he was the guy in Iran who was running all their little projects outside Iran, all those little fingers and pies, whether it's in Palestine or in South America. He's a real rabble rouser. Killed him. He'd been doing that for 20 years. All of his boys, and then Iran did the most like bitch made sort of like oh, you can't do that to us.
Why
kind of
I
thing.
oughta, yeah.
They clearly called like Egypt or somebody, some kind of go-between, and they're like, we're going to shoot at that American base over there in some Middle Eastern country. I don't remember which, Yemen or wherever the fuck. It doesn't matter. We're going to shoot that base at like 3 p.m. They were like, make it 5. Yes, sir. and then like we moved all of our shit out, like not just our people, but the aircraft and everything. And everybody else went down in a bunker. They shelled the shit out of it, and that was it. That was it.
That was a huge W for Trump. I thought when he first shot the guy, I was like, I'm concerned. Maybe you don't
like
knock off world leader. Maybe they take out one of ours. Could this escalate? Whatever.
Yeah.
And then, like Kyle said, it was a huge W, the smallest of L's, if you even call it that. Yeah. And then it settled.
Some people got concussions at the base. Down in the bunker.
No.
Well, that's CTE. It's not a joke.
I mean, it's not, but hey, it's still
light sensitivity.
David
Baran has to wear a tinted
Taylor,
visor.
you're wrong. I make CTE jokes all the time.
It was funny that they were like, the Iraqis demanded that the drones leave, and they were like, so 2 did, and then 1 stayed behind to take pictures of the smoldering wreckage because Mr. Trump wanted to make sure.
Insult to injury. He's like, no more pictures. Make it cool. Like, I don't think we need a rocket this big. We do.
The Iraqis demanded the drones leave.
I don't want one finger available for burial. Not one finger for burial, people.
So we have a rocket that's meant to minimize collateral damage. There's no explosives on board. It's just a very fast, heavy rocket, and it has gigantic blades that come out in 4 different directions, like a broadhead you would shoot a deer with, and it just cuts the people in the car and into shreds. You can probably find a picture of it, Zach.
Dude, that's
so fucking cool. Dude, it's like shooting them with giant swords.
Dude, I would so much rather be blown up than be
oh,
severed.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
1,000%. Just blow my ass up, Soleimani style. If that's if the government's taking me out, don't send a bunch of shurikens at me through a plane.
At first, I didn't understand why they wanted F-16s. It was like, man, like. Seems like you need a fleet of them things, and to do anything, and you need pilots. It's about the weapons that attach, right? It's a platform for shooting all the fancy missiles that we have. Look at this piece of shit. Look at the comparison to a man.
This is absurd. We are spending too much money, dude. If you put me in charge of a warhead, I'd be like, just a tube with knives on it. Like,
that's the best part,
and that's what they're doing.
Here's the best part. The new missiles, especially the anti-ship missiles, but probably this thing, because why
8
not,
blades,
have advanced artificial intelligence. They have advanced artificial intelligence. So it doesn't matter if they jam them in some way. Oh, they got that's now that's a different story. 6 blades all the way around. Man.
Now this is what we need to take on our enemies around the globe. Is 6 Wesley Snipes attached to a?
I feel like they put Gillette in charge of the R&D. Just like, we need to put more
you need
blades
6
on this.
huge blades.
The 6 huge.
I don't know,
man. We paid 10 million each for these blades. These are dog shit. Like they're just low quality razors.
That's so awesome. But yeah, we've got so many crazy missiles and the things that can attach to that F-16 to launch. I told you the other day about. How they used an F-15 to shoot a satellite that one time. And I thought at first it was because, maybe the F-15 goes high. No, they shot a missile that goes 300 goddamn miles into space.
Dude, we're gonna unveil really impressive lasers at some point out of nowhere. And people are gonna be like, whoa. No, like you know what I mean by lasers.
The problem is they're
lightsabers.
Huge.
Like a shooting laser. Like a blast.
Can't be a solid line.
So they got these lasers. They've got I've seen they've got one that they put in the back of like a giant cargo plane. There's like a huge apparatus to like power the fucker, and another one on a boat. And when it shoots, don't imagine a light turning on and slowly burning a thing. The thing exploded. Like they shot this like plate of metal that was floating on a buoy in the water, and it just went boom and like exploded into sparks when they like shot it.
We'll have like a rifle that can do that in 10 years.
We do. Let's call it gun.
But with lasers.
With lasers?
Yeah. What's the downside?
The laser?
More powerful, hotter, visible.
What if they got a mirror?
Intimidating. Dude, it's gonna blow. It's gonna be a really powerful laser.
Oh, new Chinese ships, very shiny.
Very shiny ship.
They show up with their mirror ships, and we're fucked.
You're right. Okay, well, maybe bullets are the right move.
Everyone, put your safety glasses on. God damn it! I'm not going through this again. Every fucking dolphin and a whale in the sea is goddamn blind. Let's just stick to blowing people up. God damn it! Isn't that good enough?
I watch a lot of news, mostly Fox, and I see them fuss about this kind of thing. And oftentimes I push back and be like, in my little bubble, I'm not seeing any of this. Or the little bits I see are so minor, it's not worth fussing about. And then every now and then, like, they're right. Like, every now and then it's like, yeah, this was too far. I hear him complain about the woke military a lot. And then I saw a Go Army ad today. Have you seen that?
The girl?
The girl? Yeah. It starts off, there's this girl, and she's like, yeah, I was a little kid. I had 2 moms. And I heard it, and I'm like, that's going to piss some people off, but, fuck them. I don't really care if you piss off jerks. And then the whole ad is about how wonderful it is to have 2 moms, how she was so blessed to have lesbian parents, and her lesbian mom showed such strength and power that she felt obligated to give back for the great upbringing she had by joining the army. And it's like, wow, you really drilled the mom thing hard. Like, I think the end goal is for it to be like an unimportant detail of her childhood.
Look at this.
Not the central focus that she's owes for.
Look at the Go Army thing. The banner there, they say the calling, first of all, which is like awesome propaganda to get you into the army. And then like the group of people they have up there looks like, you remember the Burger King's club?
Did you look at the like-dislike ratio?
Oh, I haven't. I just went to the page. I haven't clicked on any of the videos yet.
Click on the Emma, the calling.
Emma.
All right, I'm on it. It's 947 up, 40,000 down.
Oh, they turned the comments off. Why?
Raised by 2 loving and inspiring mothers, Emma excelled in school, but as a college student, she realized the challenge she truly sought required a surprising new direction. See how our soldiers' lives could inspire your own.
Guys, the army is totally progressive. It's progressive to join the army and go fight overseas for interests that don't involve you. It's progressive.
I think maybe I'm a little more, like, I'll call woke tolerant than average, right? Maybe I'm a little.
I am too. I think I am too. Yeah.
And I, whenever I hear people fussing about woke, it's like, oh, shut up. You're just trying to be an asshole. This one, I feel like they're right. This isn't what an army ad should be.
I mean, we know people in the military.
Should the army be advertising?
I saw. I think it was on Twitter today. Somebody juxtaposed that against a Russian ad for their military.
Okay.
And so this is. It's just. Let me look it up. I gotta find it.
I imagine it's like
it was like these jacked
to kill real people.
Jack, just Russian tough guys in ice water. Running through the snow. There's. And then he showed this little girl. And it was, it's unfair comparison, but you can see how you can use that.
I found it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's literally what I'm watching.
So far,
right now.
I'm only 20 seconds in, but so far this commercial for China appears to be very serious about the military based on this commercial.
Yeah, it's called, if anyone wants to watch, it's Army Recruitment Ads, China versus Russia versus the USA. I'm on the China one right now. It's all like discipline, honor, service. Like it's all just fucking hardcore dudes standing still, fucking saluting, wearing their fucking gear, and then someone speaking in a very monotone kind of voice in Chinese. now we're transitioning to like the other branches. Like they're showing rockets and computer stations,
tanks, explosions,
medics, computer operators operating this big command center, missiles, artillery.
It's like Saving Private Ryan.
They're blowing shit up, shooting rockets from naval vessels, shooting crazy shit out of airplanes and helicopters, tanks going over the horizon, explosions and smoke, soldiers running along. It looks like a fucking action movie
looks
that
like a movie.
You want to watch.
Dude, 2 minutes it gets more hardcore. It switches over to Russians. And it's this guy, if I'm interpreting it right, he goes through his transformation where they shave his head and he becomes a soldier.
It's like a Halo ad. It's like the Halo ad when they're becoming fucking Master Chief.
Wait, I'm watching the Russian one right now. This sounds intense.
Yeah, he starts off as like back home, right? got a girlfriend. He likes to play
starts off
soccer,
monotonous.
and now he wakes up and he's in the and he's fucking ripped. He's fucking yoked.
He's jacked.
Fucking suiting up, belt buckle, pants suited up, fucking berets. Now it's a bunch of shaved head dudes fucking cranking out push-ups and climbing walls.
Are we in trouble?
We're in trouble.
He jumps out of a plane that becomes a sniper. I don't know if snipers jump out of planes, but okay.
Dude, they look so hardcore. They've all got those dead eyes.
Now we're switching over to America.
And they speak in Russian, which is scary.
Dude, he did the walk away and don't look back when he landed in his parachute. Like he was like cuts the parachute like he's fucking Captain America and keeps going.
I'm on like 3 minutes, 9 seconds. There's an overweight woman who needs to lose like 15, 30 pounds.
Dude, the Russian one, it looks like it ends with a
the
bullet
American
going
soldiers
through.
look soft as fucking cotton. They're showing these American soldiers, and they're literally fat women. Like, this woman is not capable of delivering food for
These are our
DoorDash.
commercials. There are cartoons in it. There are cartoons in it.
Ours are animated like Saturday morning fucking cotton candy. I was going to use a bad word, but this is lame.
I don't know if I can. This is so cringe. I can't watch this.
Oh my fucking God.
We can't afford to get real explosions? Really?
It's a family now. It's a blue-eyed family. I can't believe there's a straight man in there.
What timestamp are you on?
Oh wait, that's a woman. Okay, it's a very butch woman.
It's a lesbian couple.
I was wrong. It's a I was like, oh look, it's a standard nuclear family. And then I realized that's a very butch woman. Okay.
Dude, this is so.
They're holding love each other, respect everyone signs. This is about killing. The Chinese are over. Oh my God, the Chinese.
Dude, China is not. I guarantee you, China and Russia
of rifles firing at one point. Like
there's a guy there's a YouTube channel, and he was talking about how living in Shanghai changed his opinion of America, and he goes he was reporting that he's on the bulletin boards they announce we are going to war very soon. We better be prepared. Join the military. And that is like an ongoing. The ads are very ominous and very dire that they need to prepare for war now. And he goes that's terrifying because who are they going to fight against? What are they going to? What is that? They're building.
They're going to fight against these cotton candy losers that we're watching right now. These fucking DoorDash employees. These overweight women.
Dude, this is straight up embarrassing, juxtaposed with the Chinese and the Russia one. Both the Chinese and the Russia one, it felt like I was about to start watching a movie. Like the way it starts on the Russian guy. I don't know what he's saying, but the Russian guy just even starting monotonous. Like whatever it is.
How do you do that?
You know what he's saying? He's saying honor, duty, service, honor, duty, service. He's saying some shit like that.
And also, I am jacked as hell. And it's like, wow, you are jacked as hell, and you're throwing yourself over this. And then there's a lesbian wedding in ours. That doesn't have anything to do with the military.
There's a part where the Russian guy he's having a dream of what he's fighting for, right? Family, freedom, and friends, right? That's what he's dreaming about. But he wakes up and he's in the fucking like barracks, right? And he like sits up in bed, shaved head, and he's yoked. He looks like he's been pounding the fucking iron for 3 fucking years. He's fucking yoked, and he's like, and there's like a zoop 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 of him like buckling his uniform, like boots, buckles, and buttons, just fucking suited up. And now he's in fucking formation, blue berets on everybody, getting fucking ready to do some shit. Everybody's got sniper rifles, parachutes. They got those dead eyes, like I said. And then you go to this cotton candy, lame ass shit that we're putting forward to apparently recruit children and women.
It shows our
that's who we're going to have
as
fight.
a child crying, clutching a teddy bear in a hospital.
There ain't no teddy bears in Russia and China. I guarantee you.
Honestly, using this narrative. Using this narrative to try and encourage, especially looks like women and children into joining the military is tremendously manipulative. Number one, if anything, it's more manipulative than one showing explosions and bullets and crawling under barbed wire. This is like, join the military. It's woke and it's cool and it's progressive. And the U.S. military is, we've got all the right priorities, just like you. Join the military. We have your best interest in mind. It's like, no, you don't. You don't, military. So that's absurd.
So shocking. All right, now to be fair,
dude, if you would have put me in charge of this commercial and said like, make this a parody, I might have done this. Like I might have been like, what if it's a fucking cartoon, man? Like that would be so funny. Yeah, we pick a bunch of people who aren't.
I'm hoping that we're just looking at like the worst version of, like, maybe the Army is who's being lame. So I'm looking at the Marines 2020 commercial now. I'm seeing it, like, what's the difference?
Now,
like,
if you remember the Marines, they used to have like where you charge up the mountain and then you stand there with the sword.
It's a cartoon.
What are we doing with the cartoons?
The Navy needs to do a parallel one where everyone's
There's
gay.
women.
Right? The Navy should do a gay parent, but they're dads.
All right, it's not as hardcore, but it's not
Navy.
as soft either. It's somewhere in between.
The battle
It's somewhere in
to belong.
between.
You
It's
guys remember
still
the
a
one
little
where the guy was trying to get up the hill? He's battling all these demons. He gets to the top of the hill and puts the sword up and a lightning strike. Remember that inspired me.
As a child, I wondered if you joined the Marines, if you'd get a real sword.
If you
That was my number one thought.
Do I get the sword?
Do I get the sword? Don't
If they're
lie to
handing
me.
swords out willy-nilly, I'm signing up for it.
There are easier ways to get swords, but
Not that sword.
True.
Oh, there's clearly
I'm
eBay.
still
Woody,
true.
eBay. Don't say true. eBay. I guarantee I buy a Marine fucking sword right fucking. Well, I can't because I'm not allowed long blades, but
Oh, really? Yeah, you on restrictions?
not until October when my probation's up. I got to keep my kitchen knives in the fucking kitchen, dude.
Marine officers and non-commissioned officers get swords.
Oh, well, then that's not even worth it.
Museum replicas. Okay.
Or I guess no, you could go to college and then just immediately be a Marine officer and get your sword.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah,
That's the plan.
Isn't that a ceremonial thing? Isn't that?
I should
They
hope
can't.
so.
They have no control over what I.
Let's hope it is.
I tell you
Yeah,
this,
that's
they can't control what I'm going to do with my sword.
Stupid to say, right? Of course, it's ceremonial. Jesus Christ! No, we're gonna go into a fucking.
Swordsman to the front! Swordsman to the front!
General, we're taking tremendous losses in the melee.
That column of pikemen that we sent around to the flank did not make it through. How are the cavalry doing? Well,
throw some rocks at
terribly. The horses are very afraid of the artillery fire.
Yeah.
Oh, are there different
Like,
swords for NCOs and full-fledged officers?
Yeah, I bet they have little things on there, like signets or emblems that denote the rank. But yeah, I wanted the sword too.
I don't know. It's a bad look. I hope that we don't have to go to war with someone who's actually capable of fighting a war against us, because we haven't done that since Vietnam and we lost. So I'm really hoping that we just keep picking on these little countries for a while.
Yeah.
But which is a weird story. I never made it to basic training. It was stupid. Of course, now if we get into a war with Russia, I'm absolutely getting drafted because they'll be like, anxiety's not real.
They are not drafting you.
But so I remember being at RSP, which is Reserve Recruit Sustainment Program, and we would have to do our fitness shit each time, once a month. And for the guys, it was like, I think 24 was the minimum amount of push-ups you had to be able to do for combat roles, which I was infantry, or I was going to be infantry. And for the girls, it was literally like 6. And I just remember being like, you guys can do these roles. Like, I'm supposed to believe that, like, if I'm out there in the battlefield, like you're going to be able to carry me.
It should be by job instead of by gender, right?
Yeah,
I don't know if 24 is the right number,
That's
but whatever it
discriminatory.
is, it should just be by job.
Yeah, it was like 24 in
for
a minute.
infantry, it needs to be whatever 20.
Then it shouldn't be
And
push-ups. It should
for
be a block that
IT,
weighs 10 kilo.
It should be a
Yeah,
block
there's a
What
bunch
does
of
what does push-ups have to do with doing a job, right? Like that's how I operate my body weight.
Like,
Show
you know-
me the work that needs doing, and then let me prove myself amongst that. Like you're saying that if putting ammo crates that weigh, say, 120 pounds over your head is important in your job. Woohoo!
to a large extent, it really is just like what's the most like.
Me and you could do that a few
exercise
times.
to test people.
We're not gonna
on.
do it all day.
It's much easier to be like, all right, line up, everybody, do push-ups, than to be like, all right, today we're gonna head into the armory and find a full ammo can, and you gotta lift that over your head 20 times. Like,
no, that makes sense. But I'm sure you're also just like they want the bare minimum. I saw the recruitment numbers for all of the branches of armed forces this month, and
It's bad.
They missed their numbers by thousands and thousands across the board without fail, and every branch of the service.
They are slightly to blame for that, to be honest, because the physical standards are absurd for getting in.
Really? You think they're too high?
If you have asthma, if you've ever broken a bone.
Yeah, we don't want you.
No, but if you've ever broken a bone,
that's surprising.
Ever. you are ineligible.
Even like a nose?
Yeah, nose, arm.
That's weird.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what you
like
broke,
arm and leg, like
it was. You know, it doesn't matter. You could be cleared by a doctor. You need like 4 or 5 doctors to waive you for certain things, and other things aren't even waivable.
I bet it depends on the brand.
For me, my recruiter literally was like, he asked me on the drive there. He was like, "Have you ever broken a bone?" And I said, "Yeah, I broke my ribs." And he was like, "No, you didn't." It's like, okay. He's like, "Do you have asthma?" "Well, I did a while ago. I haven't had an asthma attack in years." "No, you didn't." Like, literally, recruiters tell you to lie because the standards are that strict that if you have even the slightest physical disability, you're out. I'm shocked I got in because my feet are nearly flat. I have nearly flat feet, like very low arches, and I got through. But you know, for me, I was mildly colorblind, like not even red green, just like weird colors, like certain shades of yellow and blue don't look right to me.
Do you think you can do it?
That dropped me out of
sign up right now, go through boot camp and serve. Like,
how old are you?
Like realistic. No, forget the age thing. I'm not asking.
Pretending it was just.
Do it. Yeah, they're gonna let you. You think you can
pretending they let me, because I was looking at the. I'm sorry not to dodge the topic, but I looked at the broken the bone thing and I was like, "Is that real? Is that right?"
That's
based on what I found. It's mostly right. Yeah. Like in my case, I've got some hardware in me.
Yeah, it's no good.
You're out. You can't have hardware in you.
Exemption.
If you have any osteoporosis, if you have any atrophy from the bone broken, if it's still a little bit broken because it was like 6 months ago, out. Yeah, but it does look like it is possible to break a bone, heal completely if you didn't need surgery and still join. So there's it's a little
they're not kicking guys out. They got in a bar fight and have broken their nose.
What they told me was if you broke a bone ever, you're out. But that might have been to make sure that I didn't actually admit to having broken any bones.
Yeah, and again, liveabout.com could be wrong as well.
It's something like 80% of Americans of age are not eligible for military.
Kyle asked if I think I can do it.
You can do it. Yeah, for sure.
I think I
you look like you probably could handle it.
So some of the stuff wouldn't be hard for me, like the push-ups and the pull-ups. The running, I'd be like, the question is, can I run that much today and then run that much tomorrow and then run that much the next day? Like how much will I wear down? But I think I could survive boot camp.
You know what I'm worried about? It's the most bitch-made thing. It's blisters. Like I'm worried about getting blisters on my feet, and like because that would slow me down and like make me want to. Because I feel like I could run through some pain. Because even if you're like super sore when you start running, like you kind of get in the zone and the soreness goes away. Like if you just do it, like that's what a lot of people who are fucking quitters never find out. That like if you fight through that pain for 3 to 5 minutes, it goes the fuck away and it feels good again. It's not. They had a very getting there, but it does.
They had a very good
As a swimmer, I did that a lot.
They had a very good strategy for motivating us, which was they brought in a very attractive private first class, a girl to oversee the push-ups and sit-ups. So as you can imagine, every single guy was like, "I'm gonna do 60 push-ups in a minute," like as if this girl had any interest in any.
The winner gets to fuck her. That's how I'd run the military.
I remember, like I was 19.
How much running is there? I wish we had like
any amount
guy.
is too much.
I wish Bobby were here. Because he would know like how many miles a day. My guess, again, I don't know, but I don't think it's crazy. I don't think they're doing no crazy. I bet they're doing at most 5 miles a day in packs.
Yeah, I know there's like there are like 20-mile ruck marches, but I don't think there's.
All right, I think it's like rare though, right?
Yeah, they can't be every day because they do need people to actually get to the other side of boot. And also, I imagine they build you up a little bit. You know, you want to enter in as best shape as possible, but you're going to leave in even better shape, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's not like day one is a 20-mile ruck, I hope.
I'd rather do a 20-mile hike than a 4-mile run 10 times.
Yeah.
They also have different standards. It depends.
Or a march.
They break it up, at least when I was enlisting, they broke it up into combat adjacent and then non-combat roles. So like the combat had the highest physical standards, you know, run a mile in I think it was 8 minutes.
8 minutes?
I think it was 8 minutes going into boot camp or something, or basic training or something like that. And then once you were done, you were expected to be able to do 2 miles. I think you were expected to be able to.
Yeah, I can knock out an 8-minute mile. Like
I could do an 8-minute mile.
All right, no sweat. There will be sweat.
It's not.
Taylor, are you sure you could do an 8-minute mile right now?
I could absolutely do an 8-minute mile. I'm built for medium distances.
I did a thing.
See, the former track runner in me thinks of medium distance as 400 to 800 meters.
yeah.
I bet I actually couldn't. Hold on,
I
look at
ran
me.
almost every day for 30 days, but that was like 2 years ago. And
I mean,
got,
I'll be honest.
Yeah.
I couldn't run an 8-minute mile right now, and I'm skinny enough.
I
but
worked
just have
below.
no
I got like a 7:58. Like that was, and it might have been actually like 1.1 miles. It was like a little longer, but I wasn't fast on day one.
In high school, I ran a 6:30 once.
Yeah,
and
me
I was
too.
really high on myself.
We
And
only
so if
ran
if I just haven't lost anything since that day.
The last time I ran at 6:30, there was no internet.
We had internet, but I only ran the mile once. The day that they like required us to, and I ran 6:45, and it felt awful. And I haven't ran one since and timed it. But I did a ton of running on that last weight cut, and I was running a 5K every day. And
Really? Is that 2.8 miles? 3 point? How long is it?
I don't know. The machine.
I'm pretty sure it's
3.2
3.2 miles. Yeah.
every day on incline with
horrible.
resistance, like with my heart, a car, every day. And I'm pretty confident I can knock out an 8-minute mile. If not today, then like after like 2 days of like doing it, like there's something about
19-year-old me.
Yeah, I just need to kick it back into me. I'm 19-year-old chemistry set over here. Okay, like my body gets up to speed. Okay, you give me a couple of weeks running, and I'll be a sprint.
How it would actually go, I guarantee to myself,
I get some
is
EPO and probably
I would like burn myself out on the first lap. And then by the time I was like in the middle of lap 2, I'd already be doing the mental game of like, who are you doing this for? Like, and I wouldn't want it. And I'd like quit like fat and sweaty. I'd be like, no, actually I thought about it and it was gay. I didn't even actually want to run fast.
I'm pretty sure. When I was a junior in high school, I was on the track team, but I was a sprinter. And me and another one of the 100-meter runners decided we were going to try the mile. Just like, fuck it. Why not? See how we can do. Both of us, the first 200 meters, way out in front of everybody else, making these guys look like chumps. By 400-meter mark, we were like 100 meters behind. And
really?
I ended up dropping out after the second lap because I was like,
yeah, you gotta averaging 2-minute laps is going to be the thing because we don't run and we don't know how to pace ourselves. Because I use machines. I don't remember the last time I ran on a fucking
That's so
street.
true. Where the hell do I get off saying I could run an 8-minute mile right now? There's just no way.
I was trying to be nice about it.
Unless there's a slightly, if there's a man with a gun behind me, I can do it.
If there's a man with a gun behind me who's willing to give me 2 or 3 weeks to get in shape,
oh yeah,
I could do it.
Even then, I'm on like lap 4. I'm like, you've lived a full life. Let it happen.
The last time I was able to run,
the insurance will take care of her.
I was probably 22.
How old are you now?
I'm 25 in a month.
It was
But
not that long ago.
Eternity go.
It feels like a long time ago for me. It's a very that's a much bigger. That's a tenth of my
bigger
life.
chunk of your life.
You know,
Yeah,
like
yeah. That's how time works. That's how time
dude.
works.
It feels a very long time ago.
When you get in your 30s, the years start just flying by, and at 40, like they're like tic tacs
start to
for
feel
Woody.
slower. Yeah.
Yeah, I pop years like Smarties.
If you were in the military, what would you be?
Dead.
Why? Why would you be dead? You be a combat guy?
I don't know. I don't know what I'd be. It's not like you have your druthers right all the time. If you do like if you got to just pick, if it was that, if you got to pick what you did, I don't know. I don't know. The special forces guys seem to do all the cool shit, right? And they get to like wear beards and like dress how they want and like paint their guns green if they want to and just do whatever the fuck they want. Like, and of course, like that seems like the coolest job, but it also seems like the job that only the elite of the elite could even do. And I don't think I'm capable of such a thing.
I used to think I am. I used to think like so I have a damaged hand. It was never in the cards, but I used to be like, if I was in there, I'd be a Navy SEAL. That was my positive impression of myself. And I'd look at what they could do in terms of swimming and be like, I would easily rank amongst them. You know, like of course there's some great swimmers in there, but by and large, you know, that shit they do about pulling their mask off and people panicking, It's fucking silly stuff. It's no big deal. But the adult version of me is like, really? Because I'm not sure swimming is even the biggest part of being a Navy SEAL. You know, the water thing is really just an endurance of discomfort.
That's how they root out the pussies, apparently.
That's what. Yeah, that's what
not
he said.
pussies because
and I haven't shown any superhuman ability to endure discomfort. You know, like it sleep deprivation and the go sugar cookie yourself and all that fun stuff. There's no evidence that I'd be a Navy SEAL. I
don't know. Yeah. But that does seem like the coolest job. If that were the question, I answer it that way. But like, I don't know.
I can tell just by looking at you, you don't have what it takes to be a Navy SEAL.
Hack it in the SEAls.
I drowned twice, not because I failed the first time, but because I couldn't get enough of it.
What is dead may never die.
After that, Minnesota was a cakewalk. You know? Oh, he's ridiculous.
Yeah. So more realistically, like something that I think I could do is like maybe a helicopter pilot or something like that. That seems like anybody can kind of do that. I don't see those guys
I'd be
as
bad
like
at that.
The smartest people in the world or the most coordinated people in the world. They're good at what they do and everything, but I just don't think it's some unattainable thing. Like trying to become a fighter pilot, I feel like is like trying to be a baseball player. You know, I feel like they rank pretty close to each other. Like everybody wants to. We all saw Top Gun, like, but only a handful of people. Yeah, only the best of the best can do that shit. There's
my friend is a helicopter pilot, and I've talked to him about it and stuff. And I used to I sometimes insert myself like, how would I do in that position? A military
pilot or
he's in the Army,
regular pilot.
And flying the helicopter, I feel like I could get grips on. You know, it's not the easiest thing, but you know, I think I could learn to fly a helicopter. The challenge is there's other aspects of it that I would suck at. Navigation is a huge part of it. Spotting things on the ground, doing recon is a big part of his job. Directing people. I talk to people around the airport and fucking mix up east and west from time to time. That doesn't fly when you're doing recon in the Army as a helicopter pilot.
6 clicks east. No, west. West. I'm like 80%. Wait, hold on.
It's too late, Woody. They're all dead. They're all dead, Woody.
Yes.
We just burnt them all alive. That was the city.
I'm not sure if it's east-west. It's definitely down from here.
Well, it's below me. I'll tell you that for damn sure. It's right. It's below me.
So it's
like a 9-iron shot away to the left. Yeah.
So it's occurred to me, at least the kind of helicopter pilot he did. So with recon, not only do you find bad guys and good guys, but you direct good guys. You spend a lot of time telling them like, oh yeah, you know, I recommend you approach from the north and then come into the west and hook around and whatever. Like that kind of is a big part of what the helicopters are doing out there. And I think I'd be bad at it.
Yeah, that sounds really fun. And there's bunches of helicopters, like you just intimated. Like, you know, you could. There's attack helicopters and troop transport helicopters, and I'm sure there's a guy flying a helicopter that just moves around like toilet paper and water and shit.
Chinook pilots, they just move shit all the time.
I hate that. That'd be the worst fucking job.
They like it. It's
No, I want the job where you fucking blow shit up and kill people, right?
Hate
like
that.
You want that fucking. You want to be an Apache, like with that fucking. That heads up display where you look and the fucking gun is outside like some RoboCop shit, and you've got that 30mm cannon that you can and you like we're waiting on the bullets to get there. We'll see what happens.
So there's
and then you just see them.
That's all dream shit though. Like that happens once a lifetime. The reality of being an Apache a helicopter pilot, like the only thing they're good for is war, so they don't even fly them most of the time.
You make a terrible Army recruiter.
You sit around doing fucking nothing all the time. The Apache helicopter itself flies itself. Like apparently there's less rudder work and it auto stabilizes. You know how hard it is just to hover a helicopter? Apparently we could all hop in Apaches because they auto hover like a fucking drone. If you can fly a Phantom, you know, you can do that. And you leave with very little airtime and less marketable job skills. Like Apache, the people who are at the head of their flight class typically don't choose Apaches, but they do choose things like Chinooks because those guys fly constantly. There's always a mission having to do with moving some Humvee.
I want to shoot shit. I want a gun on mine. If there's not a gun on it, then I don't want to go. That would be my goal. I want to fly something with a gun on it. No, I want big guns. I want a 30mm cannon and some fucking Hellfire rockets or something outrageous. I want to burn some shit. I want to some shit.
I'd rather be on the ground than in the air. I think I don't want to be up in the air. I'd rather be on the ground. But also thinking of like Band of Brothers.
Up in the air, go home every night.
I'll be fine. Like, maybe it's like I don't have to go. I can talk big right now. It doesn't fucking matter. Yeah, I'd fucking go in there and do wreck shit. I just like watching Band of Brothers. Like in that one scene in the beginning of it where Ross from Friends is like training the troop, and he gets out there and his like sergeants or whatever are like, Lieutenant, we have to go east towards that fence. It's like, no, that's a trap. We go north over there. And they like immediately pop out. And then like all the ghillie suited training teachers are like just pointing at him, and they're like, oh, well, you failed. You fucking lose. Like I would never want to be the guy in charge of directions, because we would be maybe a third of the way through World War II if I was in that room with Churchill giving directions of like, just go east. No, wait, west. You know what? Just spread everybody out just in case. Like, I would not be helpful with any sort of directional thing at all. I'd need something like that. I'm horrible with that. But I don't know, seems like on the ground would be much, much better. Like you'd have to be in the firefight more in like a World War II scenario. But the thought of being shot down from a plane, or like you're in a helicopter and the fucking pilot gets shot or something. Like, I don't know. It's freaky. And the tank thing, I've thought about that too. But all I could ever think about if I was in the tank is like, yeah, I'm super protected. And I'm like, oh no, the enemy knows I'm super protected and they're German. Mercedes has a great shell for this. Like, and then you'd be fucked. Like Mercedes, extra penetrable shell. Now available.
I don't think I would not want to be the guy on the ground if I could help it. Like the idea with the SEALs and the special forces is that it seems like from what you see on TV and movies is like they go in and do a thing and then take them back out and then they're done, or maybe they're just doing something for a while, but then they're always getting extracted. I just really don't like the idea of like, I can't remember there's been a couple of documentaries where those soldiers are in Afghanistan were just like stuck there, like bunkered down on that hilltop, and it's just like every day we guard this nothingness valley with our lives until they let us go home. Like that seems like the worst. That seems like every day you wake up like, all right, I'm gonna go risk my life for nothing again today in this valley worth nothing in Afghanistan. Like that seems like awful job. Whereas I'd much rather be the guy on an aircraft carrier who's like waving those signal things around and like doing a little dance move as I send the planes off, Then he goes down below and like, I don't know, eat some food, and they might even have like a pocket pussy or something. Like that guy's got a good job.
Like, if you're the guy, like you're in the Middle East, in Afghanistan, like it's even worse if you're like one of those guys in like 2004, like the first part of it, in Iraq, I guess it is. And just like in Afghanistan, then I guess that was like 2005 or whatever. Like they'd have to be at a war being like, oh, this isn't at all what I pictured.
Because 9/11 was 2001. We must have been in there within 9 months or so, right?
Not.
It took us longer to get into Afghanistan than Iraq. I don't know the exact. I was just kind of picking like an earlier
the other way.
Date of it. Oh, you might be right. But when you first get into Afghanistan, like it'd have to be such a horrible, rude awakening to be like, oh, this is nothing like I thought war was.
We went to Afghanistan like shortly thereafter, but Iraq didn't happen until 2004 or like late 2003, maybe.
Then you're right.
That's when like a shock and awe thing happened, because I remember we watched Shock and Awe in class, like in medals class. The teacher was like, "Fucking watch this shit. Bush is showing them what for, boys."
Dude, we did some so September 11th, 2001, obviously, is when 9/11 happened. By October 7th, less than a month later, the war had started in Afghanistan.
Okay, so I got mixed up there. But if you were in 2002 or whatever on the early part of Afghanistan and you get over there in the Middle East, like guaranteed you ask those people like 10 months before, like, what's Afghanistan? Like most of them are going to be like, that's where the Easterlings are from in Lord of the Rings, I believe. And it's like they would have no idea. Like, I don't know, at least I could definitely see how that would be like totally disenchanting once you got there and you imagined the war to be like all the propaganda stuff they show you about World War II when like true valor and shit like that was still, and who knows how much of that was propaganda. It's been so long, we probably bought a lot of it. Like, who knows?
I think like original Afghanistan, the first people like Taylor's talking about were probably psyched. They were probably like, fuck yeah.
after 9/11 happened, I have just been clenching my fists, hoping they send me to Afghanistan. I want to be the guy that finds Osama bin Laden, right? Probably everyone there, it's their version of a high school football player making the NFL. You know, they want to be the guy that gets that kill. Fast forward 6 years later, you know, bin Laden's like already dead. We don't even know what we're doing. Now there's a like valley full of nothingness that we're defending for some reason. What? So Afghanis have a better way of life, and those are the demotivated
protecting
guys.
poppy fields and shit like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where you just have to know, where they're like, protect this field. There's lots of buried intelligence in chests. Don't ask what, just do it. And they're like, oh, so we're protecting heroin. Is that?
Oh, they were very
we're
clear about the fact that they were protecting the heroin. You know, they were clear about that. And did you watch that Brad Pitt movie on Netflix? There's that scene there where it's called The Sandbox or something like that. I can't remember, but it's about that. It's about the general that they put in charge of Afghanistan a couple years ago, and he thought that the reason that Afghanistan had been going poorly for like 8-9 years was that like they just didn't have the right man in there doing the job right, and that he was just going to like willpower and like make this thing work like through will along, and he got there and realized it's just a mess that can't be made right. But there's a part where he's standing there looking at the big heroin / poppy field, and he's like, why don't we have them grow corn? Can't they grow corn or wheat or something like that? And he's like, yes sir, he could, but that would be in direct competition with American farmers, and we can't have that, sir. So we just have them grow the heroin. All right then.
Yeah. They laid that out real quick.
Like, yeah, that makes sense.
It does, right? Because you're like, well, I don't want U.S. tax dollars pouring into some Afghani crop, which is going to hurt some U.S. farmer in Ohio. So have them grow heroin, which will hurt their kids, I guess. I don't know.
The farms in Ohio.
Yeah. Maybe I didn't think that through.
No, yeah. Now
we
it's
got
full
big
circle.
opioid problems. Yeah, you know, like all over
if we
Kentucky.
Really wanted to beat them, then you need to have those farmers in Ohio grow enough heroin that you put the Afghanis out of business, right? Like
That's
I bet
thinking.
Those motherfuckers are in a desert with you always see them and they look dry, like the sand people from fucking Star Wars, and just like chapped lips and stuff. They don't have enough water to grow a fine crop of opium like we could here in the bread basket of.
Can you imagine what the average person's piss smells like in areas in the Middle East where they just don't have enough water? It's just like if they have
it just comes
like
out
imagine
a long tube.
Asparagus day every day.
Imagine if you gave them you gave them just like a 1.5 liter bottle of fucking Fiji or something, and they guzzle that down, and like half an hour later they'll be like, there is a great problem. There is clear pee coming out of me. Muhammad spoke against this, or like whatever it would be. like that. Just imagine how much that would suck. Like, obviously I'm talking about rural areas since they have fucking water in cities and shit they can drink,
not
but
big city Afghanistan. That's not what we're talking about.
Well, no, we're not talking about the hustle and bustle. What's the name of that city?
Kabul.
Mashmeshi.
Mashmeshi, you totally made that up. Mashmeshi is in unspecified not Afghanistan.
But the first time someone brought up like Uzbekistan to me, I'm like, I gotta check on that. I'm not 100% sold on this Uzbekistan of sorts.
You were young during 9/11, but I had all these coworkers who claimed to have like knowledge of the Afghanistan situation before 9/11.
Really?
Like, oh yeah, no, I've been following these guys. Listen, I'm an expert on the Taliban. Bullshit. You have never once mentioned the Taliban until 9/11. I will grab a map and I will test your ass.
You know what did happen? I promise this happened because I always say we were in driver's ed, like when it happened, we were listening to the radio. We were in the car, like pulling back into the school, and it was going down on the radio. And I remember my driver's ed teacher going, but it was that Osama bin Laden fella.
Really?
But it was him. Yeah, I swear to God he did.
I had never heard of Osama bin Laden until now. I know that Clinton tried to take out the Taliban, and he got it was
Why
like
did bin Laden get CIA training from us?
Yeah,
like when?
Yeah, so he was part of the Mujahideen back when the resistance against the Soviets. Yeah, and we were pumping in like resources, if you will. In other words, Stinger missiles and weapons platforms.
I mean,
and
like,
a lot
what
of
time period was that?
The 80s.
80s.
And then when did it end? Like
the 90s. Russians, yeah. Yeah, like when did the Berlin Wall fall? Like 89, probably coincided right in there with the fall of the Soviet Union. You know, it definitely helped.
Sometime during Clinton's term, they attacked the USS Cole. I think it was towards the very end of it, and then it became very obvious they are now our enemy too.
Yeah, they had bombed some embassies and stuff. Yeah, they were dicks. But yeah, it's interesting to see how that all changed, because in the Cold War we had found an ally in these people who would fight against the Soviets for us. And you know, I always talk about how at the end of Rambo 3, the credits in Rambo 3, Rambo goes to Afghanistan and rescues his old commander and fights the Soviets. And it used to say. And it used to say in the credits, like, this film is dedicated to the brave fighters of the Mujahideen, which is fucking Osama bin Laden, his crew, right?
Really?
And yeah. But so now,
that didn't. Somebody regrets that now.
so now you go back and watch. You rent Rambo 3, and it'll say this film is dedicated to the gallant people of Afghanistan.
The gallant people. So they stepped it back a bit.
Yeah, but it's still there a little bit.
It's because still there. A big part of the movie is that like some Afghan fighters like join with Rambo and like guide him and get him there, and then there's a big resistance. They help him a bit. You know,
horses against tanks. Horses win.
If you look in the background, you see like one of the dog back there, whatever. So warriordog.com. I've been building a thing for the Warrior Dog Foundation, tying these RFIDs.
I thought you said voyeur dog.
No,
like
warrior.
Sort of kinky thing.
WARRIOR.
You lost me. Never mind.
So just quick sales pitch. Until recently, military working dogs used to be euthanized when they would be retired because they were classified as equipment. And so they were a liability to the State Department. And then Robbie's Law was enacted, which allowed them to be adopted by the handlers when they were processed out. Still, a lot of them were euthanized. And then some of these nonprofit organizations like the Warrior Dog Foundation stood up to try to find homes for them, or if they couldn't, they would house them and give them the retirement that they deserve, being that they serve their country. It's just, they're not pets. You know, most people think of animal rescues as just being these, you know, animals living on couches and stuff like that and trying to place them. You can't really do that with a dog that spent its life doing
beating up Iraqi dogs.
Agitation work, we'll say. And so so what I was like, okay, I'm trying to build a more meaningful relationship between brands and creators and viewers and consumers. And so again, the NFT thing, a lot of people will cringe, but a non-fungible token, all it is a unique identifier. It's like the IMEI or the UUID in your phone. It just it's there's no other like this one, right? And so what I did was I tied these to RFIDs in the collars of the dogs, and I put security cameras or surveillance cameras all throughout the facility, inside the kennels where they eat, where they sleep, in the yard where they play, where they get bathed, and everything else. And as the dogs walk to different areas within the facility, it triggers an event. So when you donate or sponsor a dog, you get one dog, their entire feed, or you can sponsor 3 dogs or all the dogs. And instead of just, you know, St. Jude, nothing against the organization, they do fantastic work, but you typically get like a card at around Christmas time saying, hey, please donate. At least this way you're able to see transparently a little bit more of where your dollars are kind of going to, and it builds a more meaningful relationship between you and the organization. And so once I ship this beta, probably in the next couple of weeks, I'll open it up to the public. Then I'm going to move on to a chicken farm. And then, and so all the chickens will have RFIDs on their legs. And so as they go in their nesting boxes, you'll get your carton of eggs. You'll be able to see that chicken free ranging throughout the day. Same thing with the cows at Kansas City Cattle Company. You'll be able to see the calving process all the way to the slaughter process. And so for me, food waste is a big, it's a big problem in the U.S. There's more than half of the food goes to waste. And so this is meant to give a more visceral kind of meaningful relationship, knowing that, you know, some people might be more reluctant to throw out, you know, waste some of their steak if they're able to see the lights go out on it.
Okay. You were telling us about the warrior dogs, and you said that they're not pets. my dumb ass is like, no. If you shower a dog with love, it becomes a pet. That's like what happens to him.
No.
Tell me why that's not the case.
So you got to think that, these animals, when people hear PTSD, there's a stigma associated with that. And, David Morrell kind of shed a lot of light on that with, First Blood and everything. And now the stigma's kind of gone away a little bit, but people, when they think about dogs, they don't really think about the trauma that's associated with, their deployments and everything else. Not to mention their sole role. Well, not all of them. I need to kind of differentiate between the different mission sets that the different dogs would have. Some of them are agitation work or bite work, and some of them are detection. The detection dogs should be relatively easy to place in a home because they don't have the tendencies that the more aggressive dogs would. And
they might rat you out for your weed, though. You got to be careful about that.
It's true. It's true.
Narc dog, get
stop
out of my
sitting next to that lamp.
But it's funny, because so when I was installing these into the facility, and the average person might see the facility and see it and say, hey, look, like, they're in concrete kennels and chain link and everything else. It's like, well, it's to protect the dogs. And like, what? Get the fuck out. No, it's like a prison or whatever. No, like legit, like installing the cameras in there, I had to put them in steel pipes and cut holes into the steel pipe so that I could sleeve and protect the camera. Within the first, I'd say 20 seconds of the dog coming back into the kennel, it completely destroyed the camera because it was in its space. And it's the same thing with people. Is you introduce a dog into a home, there's a learning curve. Almost every handler has been bitten by their dog, and so the thing is if you introduce a retired dog into a home with kids, or a neighbor comes over, you really have to have the proper training or the right environment for the dog to be safe and the people who are around it, because again, they're very protective. It's not like they're gangbangers just running around biting people and everything, but they do serve a purpose, and those things are they're just not suitable for the average
What's
family.
the percentage of these dogs that did agitation work, which means biting people for a living, I guess?
Yes. So there's different. Yeah, there's different certifications. You'll hear the term like dual cert or dual certified, that they may be able to do multiple things, but I would say it really depends on the branch of service. Most of the dogs coming through did agitation work because they're the ones that are hard to place. The detection dogs are relatively easy because like it's not like smelling RDX is going to trigger a dog to go off.
Did they
and
use
bite
Belgian
somebody.
mouse for that? Because when I went to that training school I went to, where we did like a documentary type video with them, and then that's where I got Dak at. Like his detection dogs, both explosive and like narcotics, were mostly labs. He had
floppy ears.
Like they looked like good boys. You know what I mean? Like sweet as fuck. And then all of the other dogs,
pointy ears,
bite work dogs, were pointy eared Belgian Mals and German Shepherds and
Dutch.
I'm surprised they don't make a hybrid of the Mal and the Shepherd to get a little bit of the best of both worlds, maybe.
Well, I mean, that's kind of like a Dutch Shepherd, right?
Is it? I'm not familiar with the Dutch Shepherd.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really a hybrid of the two. I mean, the Mal is kind of its own thing, but they're
sort of fits that role.
Those are the three primary, I would say, is Dutch, Belgian, and German. But yeah, so and I don't want to speak out of turn here because I'm the tech guy building out the infrastructure, the servers, and all this other stuff. I'm not an ambassador for the organization. I'm just trying to help them build a more meaningful relationship between the sponsors and everything. But it's really exciting. Well,
that's good. That's a good cause. I'll tell you, like, I care about animals more than people, if I'm being honest. I remember when the Ukraine war kicked off, I wasn't about to frankly send money or like help them buy their drones. It's like the State Department and you have a deal already.
you don't need me to slide around them. They'll give you all the drones you need. I'm not sending you $500 for drones. But then I heard there was a charity for like fucking dogs that had been abandoned or something. I was like, all right.
Yeah.
All right.
It's hard. Like I feel like I'm getting emotional now, but it is so because when you really hear, and that's one of the reasons why I've shifted work into these things, because this is kind of like my charitable focus, I guess you could say, is so Robbie's Law was enacted right around the start of the GWAT. And so every deployment beforehand or every conflict beforehand, specifically Vietnam, all those dogs were euthanized or left there. And it's kind of crazy when you think about it, because if you know anybody who served and they had a dog in their unit or in their, their group, it was like, that's the thing that everybody looked fondly about. Like it just brought a level of home to, being deployed that
it's a team mascot too, and I'm sure like having a dog would probably saved our lives. If you
I was just gonna say that that's the other thing too, is like, especially if you have a detection dog or man,
the first dog that like stops you from stepping on a tripwire and like alerts to like a guy in a fucking tree with an SKS or something. You're like, oh my God, who's a good boy?
It kind of breaks your heart to think that that dog would be just put down because it was classified like an M16. And
you would think police departments like,
so that
they're old, right?
That was the path for a lot of dogs in that transitional phase where because so here's the other thing people don't think about is like the Belgian Malinois were very, I don't want to say regulated, it was just there wasn't enough breeders out there. So when that transition happened from German Shepherds to Belgian Malinois, the DOD became one of the largest procurers of Belgian Malinois. So you couldn't even really buy one because they were buying them all up. They even started a breeding program at Lackland.
You don't want to fuck up your government contract. Somebody's like, can I have a puppy too? No.
Yeah. And that drove up the price of them too. Right.
Yeah.
So like, you try to buy from a reputable breeder, you're going to pay a lot of money. And so you have all these weird nuances in this process, but man, it's really kind of, it's frustrating to hear that, most people didn't even realize that was happening. So
I'm glad that they're doing that. That's a tremendous cause, because as much as, I love all dogs, but man, those are the best boys.
Let me tell you a story about
dogs. Remember the dogs Trump talked about? Those dogs probably got euthanized.
Let me tell you a story about one. So one of the dogs, I think it's Chucky. There's police service dogs that come into the program too, right? So there's been enough time that the organization's been around. They're like, give us any dog. Like if an organization has a working dog and it's going to be euthanized, give it to us. Like, let us at least be the last shot that this dog has, because the way we and everyone sees is like, these dogs have served their countries like faithfully. They need a shot at retirement, not euthanization. So, so Chucky, it was a great example where I think they sent him. I may be speaking out of turn here, but they sent Chucky. There was like a suspect that was inside the attic of this huge building. So the handler takes him up, and again, he's a police service dog. He goes up into the attic and gets a bite on this dog. And as the handler is trying to get to him, he falls through the roof, and I think it's like 2-3 stories down. Knocks the guy unconscious. And so they have to wait for a separate team to get there, the medics and everything else. He gets sent to the hospital and everything. The dog stays on the bite the entire time. Jesus Christ. And
please,
and so
get him off me.
So it took another handler, and so I think he was awarded at least one medal for that. And there were like a number of different things, but all these dogs have just remarkable stories. It's truly humbling to be able.
I have a silly question.
Yeah,
I suppose it's silly. Don't you think you could take one, like in a one-on-one unarmed fight? Don't you think you could take one Mal? He's gonna bite your forearm, and then you get to do whatever you want. You can get position.
Yeah, you can scream, you can cry.
Come on. He doesn't. It's not a bear. He's not going to snap my arm. He's going to latch on and start shaking and tearing. But I've got him right here now. He's wherever I want him.
Kyle
And he
controls that mouth
Yeah.
with his forearm.
And
I
there's
do.
not a bunch of like valuable
my forearm, not my
blood,
throat, not my
vessels in your
femoral
arm.
artery, not my dick, not my intestines. I got him right
I'm
here
actually
on the-
with you, Kyle, because
where I
sometimes like
want him, frankly.
we've had
I
this
have to
argument
pick a
before,
spot.
but it's an eagle, and everyone's like, "Look at those talons! Look how dangerous they are." Sure, but I don't think they can deliver lethal blows to me.
He needs a knockout blow.
All right.
I'll agree.
I'll
I'd
give you
rather
my
fuck with
opinion
two
and then a
eagles.
story. So my opinion is yes, I agree, but like the few times that I like we've messed around with explosives. We've had some shady scenarios before with we'll say some improvised electronic
Devices.
blasting caps that have been very high tension. And few things get me as terrified as seeing a Mal waiting to be released with an erection drooling out the mouth and knowing that it's about to come bite me. It is one of the most terrifying
They're
things out there.
erect while they do
You're
it.
fucking right.
Yeah,
You're fucking right.
So I agree. Feed it an arm, and then just punch the shit out of it if you can. But the story I'm going to tell you is like, so they rebooted the program, the military working dog program at Camp Pendleton, early 2000s. Again, started the GWAT, and they hadn't had time to retrofit everything from the Vietnam era, and so a lot of the kennels didn't have working air conditions and stuff like that they were going out into the desert. Very problematic. But the media day was around, and one of my buddies, Mike Dowling, who wrote the book Sergeant Rex, is kind of funny. He was talking about how they brought their hardest hitting German Shepherd out there for media day, and so they put the journalist in a bite suit, and he has,
Describe the journalist physique for us, if you will.
I don't even know. I don't even know. We'll say typical Southern Californian male.
Ooh, gonna be punished for his fake news.
And so he goes and they release the dog on him and they send it. And whenever he feeds him his arm, he bites down on it and snaps it in half, compound fracture inside the sleeve. And from that day on, the Marine Corps, and it may even be like a military wide thing now at this point, but no more civilians in bite sleeves for any kind of government working.
Is this like a uniquely small man? Like,
no. And that was the thing, is like he looked badass on camera.
In his big muscle suit.
Yeah. Well, no, the dog. The dog.
Oh, the dog.
It's like this is America's Marine Corps working dogs. And so
it snapped some journalist's arm.
So now what they do is they take and put the boot guys and the lower ranking new guys in the program in the bite suits to demo whenever the media comes out and everything. But I just thought that was kind of cool. But when you get
you've been in one too, right?
Yeah, it's not my thing.
It was so tiring. For one thing, I was in poor shape when I did it, but it was a pretty large German Shepherd, and it was like his German Shepherd, like the guy who owned the school and the whole place. This is like Buck, his boy. This is the dog that would go fetch Miller Lights out of the fridge and close the fridge and shit. And that dog was whooping my ass. However, like again, once he had my arm, I felt like, man, I feel like maybe I put my whole body weight on your chest, and like I can start doing shit to you. He's gonna fuck your arm up 100%. But after wrestling with him for what felt like an hour, but was probably 10 minutes, I was 100% exhausted. And at that point, if the fight had actually been going like it was, he would have killed me. Like I was also in the suit. You're overheated, and it was a hot day. We were indoors, but AC was only doing so much, and like I was overheated and exhausted to the point, and he was still going. Like he wanted more. If
he wasn't wearing a suit, not fair.
He's had fur coat on.
I'm just trying to help. I don't know, man.
He wears it every day. He's like One Punch Man with that shit. Like he showed up like that.
He sleeps with no air conditioning.
Dak bit me one time, but I'm sure he was only like, hey,
last fucking warning kind of bite because he grabbed my whole calf in his mouth and bit it just hard enough.
Why?
Kitty had him outside and like walking him off leash, and I didn't know that. And I sort of walked up on them like on my phone, and they didn't catch me. And there was this moment of like, oh, you're here, which is normal between human beings. But when he was there, it was like, you're here. And he ran up and fucking grabbed my, he like barked 3 times. I froze. I figured like moving at all was a bad move because I can't outrun him. And I don't think I can cower him either. So I freeze, and he sort of roof, 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 and then bites my whole fucking calf and goes arr, arr, and like let's go. And I'm just like, I just went from the pain because I didn't want to yell too loud either. Maybe that'll encourage him. And then she like got him away from me, and it was all good. But
I never got your relationship with him because it felt like you were never his handler. It's like he always hated you.
Yeah. So what happened was right when I got him, I took him for a walk, and like we didn't know each other very well, and he was already skittish to begin with, very skittish. And I had just gotten a samurai sword, and so I'm checking my mail.
Of course you did.
I got my samurai sword in one hand. I got my fucking Belgian Malatac dog in the other, and I'm checking the mail. And I'm probably thinking how cool I am. And there's a fucking like weed growing next to my mailbox, and I'm like, not today, sha-sha! And I fucking slice, and just the arm movement spooked him so much that he freaked out. I put the thing on the ground. Now I got both hands on the lead, and he tore his way out of a full chest harness. Like he wiggled enough and twisted enough that he got out and disappeared for like 48 hours. Had to like track him down. I lived on the lake, and he's all these fucking wooded hardwood hills between like houses, and I'm driving around the roads screaming at him, Dak, Dak, and he'd stop and look at me like a deer. Like we don't know each other very well at this point. And then he'd run again. And so that was definitely like a problem with our relationship right away. And then I was on the road at one point for like 2 months because I had like back to back engagements. It was like Chicago, maybe like Boston, Chicago, Seattle, LA. And like they happened in such a way that I just wasn't at home. And he bonded with her because she's in her office. And so it became her dog.
He reverse bonded with you. He hated you.
He reverse bonded, and he saw me as like an intruder. I was home so little that I was like, you don't belong here. What the fuck you doing here? So it became a thing where like I couldn't. It's weird. Like if I was sitting on the couch and he came out, and then he would sit on the couch with me and we'd be chill. But if it was vice versa, that would be a big problem. Like if he'd been on the couch and I tried to join him, I wouldn't have made it to the couch before he started like alerting and standing his ground. But he was a bad motherfucker. He died recently.
Old age or what?
Yeah, old age, yeah.
Kyle killed him.
My bear, at 15, I was finally strong enough to like choke the life out of him. It was maybe not 15. He was
no, but still, like I can't, like we're old.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, close to 15.
When my dog doesn't recognize me in the yard and starts barking, he sounds really scary. It's a Great Dane. And I'm like, you're 96 years old. What do you get a limp over here?
Yeah.
Cut me a break.
I got
what he should be doing is debating in front of the country.
Well,